Welcome, all of you, to this. I'm super excited that there's over 20 of you here. I'm going to, I think, wait, share my screen with you. I can't see anything else in that. Anyways, I want to introduce you to myself and to where we are. I'm inviting you into my living room. My name is Kenny Chaplin. Excuse me, I don't actually live in the living room anymore. My daughter does. She's taken over half of it. As you can tell, she's got a flute station here. She's learning how to play flute. She's 9 years old. She's got a violin that she's practicing. She's practicing to play the ukulele. She's getting pretty good at that one. She's got a painting station. You can see some of her artwork up there. She didn't do that one, but she did those two. We've got a crafting station. She's taken over my office, so now it's her office. And she does her crafting there. I try, when she's rotting her brain with TV and stuff, to put good stuff on her desk to eat. This one is sunflower seeds, and I put the words on it like the blueberries say disgusting on them. The peanuts say rotten on them. These say don't eat, yuck, poison, because there are carrots in them. You know, you got to do whatever you can when you've got a kid. Having said that, welcome to Set Protocol and Etiquette. I've done this course with SMPIA for many years. In fact, I started it back in 2005, actually. So this is over 15 years that I've been working with SMPIA. And like in any community, whether you're from Maryland, like Brett is, or all the way to Portland, Oregon, you'll have an organization like this in your community. Here we have Jolene Kiska, who organized this whole event for this week and or was one of the major players in organizing it. So I just want to say thank you to SMPIA, and thank you, I mean, for 15 years of doing this. Without them, none of this would be. And the person that helped us put this all together, the big brain, was Dawn Bird. And Dawn lives here in where I'm from, Regina, Saskatchewan. She has a company called Be Easy Productions, and she's quite well known in the community. She actually started here taking this course from SMPIA, and I was teaching it, and she has gone on to be a prolific producer and a prolific actress too. She's been in many productions. You can see here. And well, she's actually quite famous. She's got her name on a star on the Hollywood Walk. She's so powerful now, actually, in Hollywood, that she took down the Hollywood sign and she just put up her name. I'm very serious about it. And she's also, well, she's really famous for something that many of you locally certainly don't know about her, and that's who she's dated. So she's dated Zac Efron, she's dated Leo, she's dated Jake, she's dated John, she dated a lot of guys. So she's very famous lady. So I want to thank her, and I want to thank, of course, SMPIA for hosting this, because I think it's a very significant thing to do, and that is crew training. A lot of veteran crew members feel that the only way to train is on the job. And I have always advocated for a controlled environment to speak about film, because if you're just trained on the job on a film set, for those of you that have been on film sets, it's a very chaotic and manic place to work, and it's sometimes quite difficult to learn in that environment. So that's what this course is meant to do, is to give us more relax and breathe a little bit. The thing about film schools is where I want to kind of start off tonight, and I'll get into more of why we're here and what we're covering. But I equate it to a film school student, which some of you I hope are in the audience tonight. They're often coming to me asking me how to get in the film industry. And I think it's something similar to this, is that when you have somebody that's gone through nursing or have gone through law school, when they get out that door, they can look down the street either way, and they can go to a hospital to get a job, or they can go to to a law firm to article or intern. Whereas in the traditional film school, if you walk out the door, you look that way and you look that way, and there ain't much there, and there's a good reason for that. And the reason is that production crews and production companies are formed per production, and then they dissolve at the end of a production. So there's not really a brick and mortar place where you can go and get a full-time gig. You are essentially, you're a freelance worker. But that being said, when I looked at film schools, they taught the creative aspects of filmmaking primarily, the directing, the acting, the editing, producing, etc. And I felt that there was more of a need for those of us that are on the crew, because that's kind of like a big portion. If you took this picture here, you can kind of see where cinematography, editing, acting is, and that's our film schools. But below is, I mean, that's 90% of your workforce. So that's the little company that I've created through the years. And I want to introduce you to it. And tonight is this book, The Production Assistant, Set Safety Protocol and Etiquette. I've got others too that we've done through the years. It's either I've created them because of my experience, or I've brought in industry professionals that have written theirs. This one, production coordinator, is by Carol Kravitz, and her last show that she did before she retired was a little show called Breaking Bad. So it's pretty cool to get these people to be able to tell us what they do on the job and behind the scenes. So we have a website that you can go to if you're interested in these books. It's just they're just $20. It's just a PDF. But I find if I can give back to the community, I think we're better for it. And that's what I appreciate about what SMPIA is doing and what Don Bird is doing, is they're growing for the future. Who am I? These are some of the productions that I've worked on through the years. Some of them you might be familiar with, some of them you may not. Some of them were very high budget, like Thin Red Line and Schwarzenegger's End of Days, and some of them were lower budget, right? I did TV series as well, like Roswell. I did a TV series called Judging Amy. I did Dude, Where's My Car, which many of you may know. So those are some of the productions I've worked on. These are some of the people I've worked with through the years. This is kind of how I envision tonight going, and that is through this keynote, because I feel that a live presentation, I'm trying to add as much imagery as I can, and I hope this works for you, and I'll switch back and forth. I'm still in the business. One of the last shows I did was one called Look Away with, oh boy, now Isaacs is the gentleman, and Mira Sorvino, and India Isley. I also work on commercials. For you that don't know where Regina is, this is some of the landscape which I'm fortunate enough to work in and film in. This is a commercial that we shot a couple years ago. I'm going to escape here just after I finish this slide and ask you some questions. But I just wanted to finish by telling you I'm a member of the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, and the Directors Guild of Canada. It's an organization that has directors and assistant directors, and in Canada it has locations in other departments as well. And I have a daughter, and that's of course Ruby, and that's whose room we are using. So we have to thank her at some point. Playing flute and selling lemonade. That's what I do with my kid. But I'd like to ask you some questions, who you are quickly, and then we'll get into it. I want to kind of know like what your livelihood is. What are your hobbies, your interests, and your skills? What are you expecting from tonight, tomorrow? What's your passion? Is it filmmaking or is it something else? Have you had any other education? I'm going to just escape this and try and stop my screen share. And I'm going to ask if any of you can answer any of those questions, just so I can stop talking and get to know you a little bit. Is anybody willing to go? Dee Dee, can you tell me? I'm just gonna put you on the spot, Dee Dee.
Okay. The industry is a new passion for me. Literally a year ago, I took a class in Alabama for a month and fell in love with it, and never had dreamed that a year later I would move to LA to try to make a go of it. I want to become when I grow up. Anyways, yeah. Eventually I want to move in and become an assistant director. So, and I can vouch for one of Kenny's books. His stuff is really good and really straightforward and lots of great information. So.
Oh, stop. Thank you.
No, it is.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to finally meet you. I really am. How about anybody else? Can anybody else tell me a few things about yourselves? Like Julie Berry, how are you?
Hi, doing well. So I kind of a similar story. About a year ago in college, just kind of on a whim, I took a screenwriting class, fell in love with it. just recently finished going through the Act One screenwriting program, which of course they had to move online this year for obvious reasons, which was great because there's no way I would have been able to get out to LA for that otherwise.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I really love nature, bird watching. I have 2 pet frogs. And
I've got 2 dead bunnies. Maybe they can meet your frogs.
that would be great. Let's arrange a play date. But
Okay.
anyway, I'm hoping to find more connections and ways to get into the industry, especially locally. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
me.
Cool. Thank you. By like kind of maybe this might work. Oh, Reba, you want to go? Hi, Reba.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everybody hear me? Is my music too loud? Are the candles too bright?
No.
Is the lighting cool? Kind of, sort of?
Great.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Go ahead,
Ken.
Reba.
Hey, I'm Reba from Dayton, Ohio. I have taken a screenwriting class several years ago from Marisha Mukherjee. And
Okay.
I love writing. I have stories to tell. I've had a crazy life. I love comedy writing, and I like to take the things that were bad and make them funny. Yes, we all
All
need
right.
to laugh.
right.
I'm planning to work on a documentary film, and I'd like to write a full feature film about my life. My hobbies are sewing and design.
Awesome, Reba. Well, thanks for
Thank you,
coming.
Ken. Thank you for
No.
having me. Thank you, Ken.
This will be great. This will be great. You know, the luxury of this Zoom and, you know, the luxury of COVID in a way for myself and for you is that now I don't have to pay for a plane ticket to come. Now I don't have to pay for a place to rent. Now I don't have to pay for hotels and meals and cars and all that. And then that costs, you know, things, lots of money, right? And somebody's got to pay for it. Well, here, and fortunate for SMPIA and all of the sponsors, you get it for
Free.
Okay, so let's go forward. Hi, Lance Miller. Let's go forward. I'm going to continue on with our little screen sharing of the keynote. And if you have any questions, please, I'll stop back in with the chatty thing. I can go over here. Whoops, hold on. I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go chat. And I'm going to screen my. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So, folks, I know some of you now. I know where you're from, which is cool that we're from the U.S. and from Canada. I think just a couple rules, or not rules, just things to think about. I think at the 50-minute mark. So we started at 6 my time. So around 6:50, if I can remember, let's take a 10-minute break. And of course, this is on Zoom. I can see you, but you can take yourself off if you want, and go do whatever you want when you want. The music you said was fine, so let's get going. This is this evening's presentation, and we're going to go through a lot. And the schedule kind of looks something like this. We're going to first off go through a little bit about entry-level positions. Primarily, for those of you that haven't been in business or are just getting into it, I want to share with you from my experience how to get in and working in the office and what maybe some of the skill sets that you need or one of the tasks, some of the tasks you'll be doing. Same with locations and then a few other entry-level positions. I also want to look at the director's team because my background as an AD, as an assistant director, I climbed the ladder through that department, and we touch everybody. We're more or less the project managers of a production. So to understand those positions, because they reach out and they touch everybody, I think would be good for all of us. So I will talk also about background performers, because I think some of you, if you haven't been, I would highly suggest working as an extra in the film industry. It's the way I got into the business, and so many people got into the business. And you just sort of find your way from there. It's a door that opens up, and there's a lot of interesting people you meet and a lot of interesting circumstances you find yourself in. And I think it behooves us to look into that. I'm going to also look into tonight to your first day, what you can expect on the film set, how you start out your day, the tools and the personal things that you bring with you, and some key protocol and etiquette tips that you should be familiar with, of course, when you get on there. Because at the end of the day, I want you to be, as I always said, kind of unforgettable. I want you to be invisible but unforgettable so that you get a job one after another, because it is freelance work. The next night, tomorrow night, we're going to look at paperwork and we're going to look at accounting. So we're going to go through call sheets a little bit, production reports, and show you sort of how to get paid. We're going to look at walkie-talkies because that's our main line of communication on a film set, and it's really highly important to understand how that works, that whole sort of culture in its own. And then I also want to look at film set safety, especially now with COVID. We want to look at a little bit about what is expected of all of us on set, or what you can expect going forward. And I've got documents tonight that I can share with you through this chat thing. And so I want to do that as well, one of them pertaining to COVID itself. I also want to end tomorrow night by just looking at resumes, what they should look like, and also how you should look probably when you go into an interview, and where do you find work in the film industry, whether it's in Maryland, Portland, or anywhere. And if you want to, please, if you have questions, I will answer them. Just hit that chat button and chat us up, and I will answer them. Interrupt me anytime. I talk fast. I try not to, but I do. I find because I've got a lot of material that I really love and I want to get across to you. Well, I've already said this to you, that we'll do a break at around 50 minutes, so 6:50. My promise to you is this, folks. There's a phrase in the film industry that's fake film friends, FFF. And I had one person in the film industry after all these years who I would consider my Dutch uncle, and I met him on a film set. And he's that type of person. I'm sure if you stuck up your hand, many of you have one, or if you don't, I highly recommend you find somebody that's just a very direct and forward person with you. They have a lot of integrity, and they'll tell you and call you on your bullshit across the table. To me, that's a true friend, and that's this man, Kerry Lindley. And so to you, I'm not going to speak about Sarah. I just want to mention to you that I want to be your Dutch uncle in this scenario and tell you sort of the raw things about the film industry, and be very clear about what's expected of you, so that you can walk onto a film set and feel very comfortable and know that you're going to get hired. I know some of you, when I do this live, spend money, and that means a lot to me. Tonight, even more importantly, you're spending your time. So I've given you little actions at the end of each of these little sequences for you to jot down or write down. Please take notes. Get out a pen and get a paper if you haven't. Get one now, because there's a lot that I'll go through. Some of them are these actions, and I feel that if, you know, sometimes you finish one of these seminars or workshops and you walk away and you go to work the next day, and then you kind of forget about things. And if you have a list in front of you, I think it just prods you. And these little steps, for me, just got me one step higher and higher in the business. I want to share with you like practical tools and equipment that you should think about having with you to work in any positions. And then I also want to share with you the skill sets. You know, what things you can develop, I'm hot in here. Wow, I need a fan. What kind of skills you should have, and that would sort of promote you higher and higher. I've often heard a lot of people, and I was guilty of it myself, somebody would ask me, you know, what do you want to be in the film business when I was starting out? And I said, oh, I want to be a director. I didn't know, right? But everybody says, oh, they want to be a director. And now, fast forward, that tells me how ignorant a lot of us are about what makes up the film industry. And so my having been through it now, I kind of feel like my old pair of shoes that I walk in, I can say hopefully things tonight and tomorrow night that'll make you say, you know, I want to be part of the crew. I don't want to be a director. I want to be part of the crew, because it is just a fascinating world of creative people. So that's it. If there's any questions, let me just look at the chat here. I don't see anything. I'll get going. Barbara is with us. Barbara is in Elkins, West Virginia, and she's going to probably contact me through WhatsApp. Barbara, maybe that would help if there's any interruptions or if there's any questions. I hope you would do that for me. So what we're going to look at in this first section, what a production assistant is, what an intern is. You know what would really help is if I just took off this damn jacket. Hey? What qualifications are required? I'm gonna relax here pretty soon, folks. What qualifications are required, and what types of entry positions are out there for you? And I think the best way I can describe being a PA, because I was one for years and years and years, is if I think of a rock band like Led Zeppelin, and I think of back when they first started, you think of Jimmy Page would haul his guitars, and Robert Plant would maybe do the bookings, and John Paul would probably haul his stuff, and you know they would somebody would get the van, probably John Bond would get the van, and they would go off and do their, well, they didn't have roadies yet, right? But as soon as they got a little bit more popular, then they hired their buddy, and their buddy did all of that kind of stuff. And to me, that's the best way I can explain what a PA is. You're the one that's doing all that kind of stuff in every department. There's locations PAs, there's what we call production office PAs, there's assistant directing PAs, there's even grip PAs, or you may call them a trainee. So there's a lot of room there for you to move into the industry and become kind of, hopefully, the rock band. If you're new to the industry, that's what an intern is. They have very little experience. They have no contacts. They often work for minimal pay. A lot of PAs I know work for $100 a day, $125 a day, maybe $175 a day. Some get more, of course, but not many. The really good ones do. Often, though, as an intern or when you're starting out, you work for no pay. And what you get in return, of course, are the contacts and the experience. And that's what this whole gig is about, is just that. The more experience you have, the more contacts you'll have. And, I mean, people call you if you're good. And the benefits, though, that you gain by working for free, you get practical experience on a film set. You get contact with the crew. You get a free lunch. But you get to meet people, and possibly you might get somebody that wants to hire you next time or even mentor you. So having said that, the production company will hire you as an intern, and they've got you covered. Either your school does or the production company does if you hurt yourself. So knowing that going forward, you can't really lose. I think it's an amazing gig and a great opportunity to take, starting out as either an extra or as a PA. And sometimes, the first show I ever did, believe it or not, this movie, The Thin Red Line, I was doing some PA work for them, as well as on camera I was doing some work, but I got called in to just to see the rushes, the dailies, what they shot, 3 nights before, then they show on the big screen for the director and the DP and all the bigwigs to look at and say, we got to reshoot that. I was able to sit in on the rushes for Thin Red Line, which is really cool. And I was just like a PA, right? So you get experience and you get doors open to you. And what they get back, of course, is they get cheap labor. And they also train the local crew, which is a pretty good thing. So some of the positions that you should consider or think about doing, if this is your personality, is in the office, there's an office assistant or PA, and they do things, that stuff that I was talking about earlier. They do things like make contracts, or not make contracts, but deliver contracts. They make copies of scripts. They run errands. They maybe fill the craft service or the food table, or they may restock the fridge with stuff. You got the locations department, and they do similar stuff, but outside. They make sure they got signs up and cones up, directing people where the crew parking is, where the set is. They've got butt cans out. They've got garbage cans out, and they do all of that, of course, at 3 a.m. in the morning before the crew shows up at 6. So there's an entry-level position there, too, in there. And on a lot of non-union films, too, you'll find you work as a transportation person where you just drive your vehicle and you pick up stuff, or you pick up cast, or you pick up crew from the hotel. So that's the place to start, right? Well, I have a new message here. Also, the costume assistant. If you want to work in the costume, I don't know how to do that, Barbara. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, Barbara. Sorry. Whoops. I don't know where I went here. Oh, geez. I'm just going to stop sharing here. Sorry, everybody. My computer's messing up. Okay. There we go again. Whoopsie. Oh, I can hear somebody. Are we doing okay out there in Zoom land? Can anybody unmute and say yes? Slow down.
All good, thanks.
Well. All good.
Okay, cool, great.
Great.
Awesome, awesome. Woo. Hey, you can all unmute if you want. Just turn down your, well, whatever. I'd love to hear your voices. I wish we could. There's the art department as well, hey. If you're a creative person and you want to make stuff, you start out by going to get stuff, going to the construction places like Home Depot or Lowe's, or going to antique stores, or going to used bookstores, going everywhere, right, to get stuff for the art department. So that's a great gig to get into as well. This one I thought was really interesting. This was one of my students from a long time ago. He made the suggestion here. I know you can all read. I'll make it quick. I hope you're doing well. I took your class in 2013 in Atlanta. After a lot of indie projects and showing up and working for free, I chose to join a rental house, PC&E. Very smart. There I learned all of the lighting and grip gear and met a lot of industry professionals. Now I'm working full-time as a grip in local 479. I'm happy with my work and I'm making projects and blah, 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 blah. My advice to all newcomers is take training courses, take free work. And if they want to do lighting and grip work, I would suggest working in a rental house. I thought that was pretty phenomenal, pretty a good idea. If you ever want to be a DP, why not work in your local grip store, lighting and grip place, because you're going to meet everybody. So in the office, when you walk into the office, if you ever have called the production office, most times, 9 out of 10, it looks something like this, very chaotic, a lot of desks. And then you'll always hear the phone ringing. And then you're always going to hear production, production, production. because you don't have time. Most people feel they don't have time to give an eloquent entry into the phone. But more importantly, that didn't make sense. But more importantly, what I'm trying to say here is that a day in the life often looks like that for a PA in the office. There's phones ringing all over the place. They're doing a lot of photocopying. And this is what it sounds like. And I guess what I wanted to give you is my Dutch Uncle Kenny tip. I have a friend of mine, his name is Billy Bottolato. And he does big movies like Transformers. He's a unit production manager, so he's the big project manager. But he did this show called Las Vegas with Freeman and De Niro Klein. And he wrote me this, and he said, Kenny, I tell my staff to smile. I tell my staff to smile when they answer and act like the person is right in front of their desk. We are the first contact for crew and outsiders who call. I want a level of respect, courtesy conveyed to the caller. If it's a crew member, they'll often treat the production office back with respect. Additionally, if it's a crew member, you may be in a crisis. We need to convey a calm, we are here for you attitude. And for outsiders who call, it shows a level of professionalism and excellence. And that's from Billy Bottolato. And I think it's a very good point for you to be aware of if you get a job as a production assistant in the office. I just wanted to share with you a couple things that you may be doing so you're familiar. So again, you kind of know the lingo in there. One of the things on a show that we do with our scripts is when they first come out, they're usually a white script. And then as we get into pre-production, it changes, the script does now and then. But then it gets locked at one point. And when it gets locked, it means that it doesn't change from this point forward. It's pink. And we go forward, all of us, with this pink script. And you can see, though, that as the show shoots, new revisions come out. The script has changed. Maybe an actress has died or not died, but died in the script, or maybe there's been a location change or dialogue has changed or something like that. And we have to convey that to the crew. And our PAs in the office work really hard to convey that to the crew. What they do is they print out the changes that have been made. Here, there's about 4 pages worth of changes. And they put them on a specific color of paper. And there's a specific order that these go in. And here you can see the order on your screen. But what you as a crew member do is when this comes out from the office is you take your script here and you simply swap it out. If we were live in person, I would give you this exercise to do. Hi. So most often you'll get a pink script. And then the standard progression goes from pink, yellow, green, goldenrod, buff, and through. But you take your title page and you peel that off and you put it on top of this one, and you go through and you rip out everything. So you know that you're on the yellow pages, right? And then as you go through your day, or through the show, you'll get revisions in green and goldenrod and purple. It's the office PAs that create these. So I'm just telling you a skill set that you should know. It ain't rocket science, right? It ain't rocket science. But you as a PA, those are one of the things that you'll be doing. Another thing that's really cool that you'll be doing as a PA is creating these things called sides. And the sides are small, right? They're about this big. And what it is just a mini script. You've got the call sheet on the front, and then you've got, and on the call sheet, which will show the scenes that we're shooting for the day, it's got inside those scenes from the script. And you can tell it's got knocked out there, or blacked out there, the scene that we're not shooting for that day. And you can see on your screen here as I screen share what the PA, so this is so what I'm trying to tell you is this is what the PAs do. These kind of tasks. What would be cool for you to learn, and what would be cool for you to be able to say in an interview, if you're going for a gig in a production office, is, hey, I know how to make sides. And it's as simple as this. You just feed them into the photocopier, those pages, and you just hit it down to 64%, and then you'll cut it. but I just want to give you that little tip, how to make sides. So you're kind of familiar a little bit with sides, and you're familiar with what the other one was that I was talking about. Calling the script. Okay, and then there's the locations department. And in our locations department, you can be a PA as well. You're up at the earliest time of the day, and you're going to be doing things like putting out butt cans and garbage cans. You'll be setting up the washroom. You'll be setting up signs on how to get to set. You'll be holding up signs during shooting during the day to make sure that the local yokels are quiet. So you're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And I would recommend to you to carry a backpack as a locations person. These are some of the things I would put in it. This comes to me from our set decorator, once local here, now working in Winnipeg, is Sky Rolla. So if any department that you're in, this kind of equipment would suit you well to have. You'll find yourself using it many occasions. And as a locations person, definitely. You can imagine when you're putting up signs, you need this kind of equipment. And you're out there by yourself, so I would have, you know, snacks and that kind of thing. Big shot producers and directors who worked with PAs in the industry. Well, they include, like, as a director, Ang Lee. He got out of Tisch at New York, and started working as a PA and worked his way up to become a director. Quite famous, I think you know him. I don't know if you know Kathleen Kennedy. She started out working as a note taker and as a sort of assistant to Steven Spielberg, and then he said she was so crappy at taking notes and typing that he just elevated her to be his personal assistant, and she's become now, you know, one of the really amazing big producer. She started out as a PA or as an assistant, so that's pretty cool. And then in my world, as an assistant director, this is Frank Capra. His family's, of course, very famous in the film industry, but he started out as a PA on shows. Even though he came from, you know, different pockets than many of us, he started out as a PA and worked his way up. So I'm just telling you that so that you know that all of us, I grew up on a farm in the middle of Saskatchewan, you know, thousands of miles away from Hollywood. And I was able to work in the industry, started as an extra, as a PA, and moved my way up. And I think anybody can, no matter your age. This is a lifestyle I wanted to share with you that you're going to experience in the industry. The shows that I've done, I think back, and I think, wow, this is kind of an education that I wouldn't have got in, say, high school or even secondary or post-secondary. And that is, like, I did a show called Ride with the Devil. And it had great actors, and it had Jewel and Skeet Ulrich and Tobey Maguire. But it taught me about the Civil War and how it erupted, what the powder keg was, or what the last straw was. I did a show called Ticket Out, which was a contemporary picture. And it was a show about how women and battered men, women, children get across from the U.S. into Canada. And so there's that Underground Railroad. And it was quite a fascinating lesson to learn. And then, you know, I didn't do this show, but there's a show, The Road, with Viggo Mortensen, and it's a futuristic type of film. So I think educationally, I think is what's great about the film industry. There's things you'll learn that you never could have anywhere else, or you never would have, or at least experience it almost like you were there. There's great travel benefits. I've traveled to Australia and all over the States and Canada and a country called Malta. You get fed all the time. I get paid very well. There's great people. You meet people from all walks of life, of all ages. The personal side to the film industry that a lot of people aren't aware when they start out is it's a big day. It's a big day. It's like a 16-hour day often. So when you get on a show, you're on a show. You're not like, you may be coming home, but it's to sleep for about 6-7 hours, and then you get up and do it again. But that gig only lasts so long, right? It'll last maybe a 14-day shoot, or maybe a 20-day shoot, or, you know, often I see a lot of pictures now shoot between 20 and 25 days, but there's 60-day shoots, really big ones. Thin Red Line, I think, was 65 days. But my point to you is that you're going to have to commit time-wise. And so your quality of life it changes, right? You're freelance. So there's a lot of job insecurity, you might say, instability. But the more you work, right, the more people you know, the more that instability lessens and that insecurity lessens. And pretty soon they're calling you. And that happens, right? It happens to good people. It happens to people that work hard. Your family life suffers a bit, right? Because you're never home. And that's something that people should think about. When you're working an 80-hour week, there's not much time to do much else. When we do film, it doesn't matter what the weather's like. It could be a hurricane outside while we've got interior scenes to shoot. Or we could have had a pipe burst in our location indoors, and we can go outside and shoot. So weather isn't really a factor in filmmaking. We work through everything. And so I tell you that so that you're prepared to bring everything. And I'll show you later some of the things to bring to set. The qualifications to be a PA are pretty basic. You know, you don't need a lot of money. You don't, in fact, I know a lot of PAs that don't have any money. You don't need a rich uncle. You just need a vehicle. You need a cell phone and a good voicemail. And top that maybe with a great personality. And I think you're a winner, really, and a great work ethic. Those are the qualifications to get into the film industry. It doesn't require a 4-year film degree. It requires some luck. And I certainly had it when I started out, and many people did. Here's just a sort of a schematic, a flow chart. And I could actually, folks, put in a lot more yellow boxes. Every single department will have what's called a trainee or a production assistant. And if you look at this, you can find your way up. If your goal is to one day become a director or one day become a screenwriter, there's a path for you. There's a path for you in very creative crafts, like the costume department, the makeup department, the grip department, the lighting department's fascinating, right? And even the AD department. If any of you are like project managers, you're like admin people, you like to do things, right? Keep them in order, organize people. It's a great gig too. And then creatively as an AD, you're on set all the time. And that's a wonderful place to live. I'm not going to read this for you, but it's more or less what we go through every day, 16-hour days. I love this. I asked this question, what's your longest day? And I think that is true. That's how you start out in the morning, and that's what you look like at the end of the day. Yeah, when people ask you, what's your status? Hey, if you love it, this is where you want to go. Hey, Mom, who is this man who comes every night and disappears in the morning? What, you saw him? He's your father. He works in the film industry. 8 reasons why I choose to be in the media industry. I love begging for payment. I can't live without my phone. I've enjoyed my life from childhood. Blah, 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 blah. You get my point. The biggest point I want to share with you folks is if you're interested in getting into the film industry, one thing to consider is the type of person that's your partner. If you are the type of person that needs that straight and narrow track where you got paycheck coming in every week or every other week, and you've got a 401k and you've got all that kind of stuff going, and you got your job and it's pretty secure, et cetera, you want that track going straight ahead. That's the kind of person you are. The film industry might not be your cup of tea, because the film industry is for people that kind of, and I think that's all of you guys. Probably that's why you're here. But what I mean by that is you go with the flow. You get a gig one day and you're working for 30 days. And then you don't get a gig. And then you're sitting on your butt. And you got to find something else to do to pay the bills. And then you find something else that pays the bills, and then magically another show comes along. And that's just the way you roll. So those two types of people can work together, I think. My relationship didn't with my wife, but I'm now divorced. And I think a big part of it was because there was this different belief system. So that's my little spiel there about what it's like to be a PA, what your life is going to be like. This book I really love, and I encourage you to pick it up. It's huge, it's big, it's a nice thick book, but she's written everything that you want to know about filmmaking is going to be in Eve's book. And I just endorse books that I like and that I've read, and that's certainly one of them. If I can speak a little bit now about the director's team. Before I do, I'm just going to get out of this screen share, and I'm going to see if there's any questions. If anybody wants, I'm going to stop. Well, actually, we've been doing this. It says I've been doing this 50 minutes. I've got another 5 minutes. Are there any questions at all from anybody? I see a chat here. Oh, there's 14 chats. Wow, I got a lot of privates.
What was that book again?
Oh, the book, Lance. Hey, Lance, thanks for coming on. I'm going to put that back here. There. You know what? You folks are more than welcome to do the Shift Command 3 or whatever it is to take pictures of these slides. I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that. Am I going too fast?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I just had to unlock my laptop. Thanks.
So Curtis is asking, so different color is a different phase of changes to the script. It doesn't correspond to a type of change like yellow. It's a different phase of changes to the script. Change like yellow. Dialogue change.
I think I answered that in the chat, Kenny.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, Barbara, are there any questions I need to answer?
Check your private messages. I think everything in the chat for everyone is covered. I will get Kenny to share these book recommendations and slides and stuff like that at the end of the night or something, so that I know it's hard probably for you guys to, write down the name of that book on screen real quick or something. So I'll make sure Kenny sends you a list.
Hey, you guys, and Barbara is awesome. If you want to hit her with some private messages, you're welcome to as well. She's got a brain that makes mine look very tiny, and she knows a lot. So you can certainly do that. Hey, Adri says, honestly, this is so helpful. Some common sense things are really not common sense when you enter the industry. This helped me with questions I'm afraid to ask and not looking dumb. And that's exactly it, Adri. None of this stuff is really, I found not really available in books, and that's why I'm here. I'm glad you said that. That's exactly what it's for. Leatherman is a must. Yeah, Lanza, it definitely is. Anyways, okay, so hey.
Something I wanted to mention.
Yes.
You were talking about locations jobs. And from what I understand, to do that, you have to have some sort of first aid certificate or something, don't you? You
have to have a what?
First aid certificate or something like that?
Janice, I don't know that. You're here in Regina.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, in other jurisdictions would be different to be in locations. I have to keep mindful of the fact that there's people in the U.S. as well.
Okay.
In the U.S., the locations department doesn't fall under the Directors Guild of America, whereas in Canada it does fall under the Directors Guild of Canada. And so I don't know exactly, Janice, what those are. I can find out and I'll let you know.
No, that's fine. I'm pretty sure that's how it is around here, but yeah, I don't know how it is.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Anybody else want to pop on with a question? Because and if you do, please. I was going to say, I was going to have another Zoom meeting on Thursday night, a day after the second one, right? For maybe half an hour. I'll have Ruby, my daughter, but it sometimes takes 24 hours for stuff to percolate in your brain. And if you had a question, be like, yeah, I bet other people have that same question. So if that's of interest to you, you can maybe let me know in chat or let Barbara know, and I can certainly schedule that in and then send you an email and say, hey, let's meet up for half an hour. I can't give you more than half an hour. I might be able to, but I got a 9-year-old and we're in her room. So
I will mention, Kenny, that if people do want to reach out to you, that you have a web page on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's called Film Crew Trainer. So you're welcome to send a message through any of those platforms. And when you do, please let Kenny know what your username is so he can follow you.
Okay.
And that is Film Crew Trainer. Again, I'll put the links in the chat message for everybody.
Well, thank you.
See, I told you she's awesome. Lance.
Yeah.
You had a question?
No. Just saying thanks.
Oh, great. I didn't know how that worked. That's cool. All right, I'm going to get back at this. I'm going to go into the big screen. Stop share. Oh, I'm going to play. There you go. Cool. Well, I'm glad to get that feedback. Do you guys, oh, shit. Sorry. We're going to take a break. Do you want to take a break? Anybody?
No, just carry on. That's fine.
Hold on. I can do a poll. Watch this. I'll just ask you guys if you want to take a break right now. Ask a question. Oh, fuck. By the time I do this, forget it. Oh.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to do this, folks. It's going to take me too long. I'm going to just somehow get out of this and go back to where I was. Shit. Okay, so this is why it's important to learn how to use this thing before you start.
If anybody does want to take a break at some point, just drop a note in the chat and I'll try to remind Kenny to take a break.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Barb. Okay, I am going to share my desktop now. Here we go. Here we go. I'm sharing my desktop. Can anybody see my desktop? Perfect. Yes?
I can.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, let's get back into it. So I wanted to mention a little bit about the director's team because that's where I come from, and that's a great position. That's a great department to get into for many reasons. A lot of times people ask me, how do you become a director? I want to be a director. I want to be a director. I want to be a director. Well, this is really, truthfully, how you do it. Pick up a camera, shoot something, no matter how small, no matter how cheesy, no matter whether your friends are in, your sister star in it, put your name on it as a director. Now you're a director. Everything that after that, you're just negotiating your budget and your fee. And that's absolutely the way you become a director. You got to just shoot, 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 shoot. And then you eventually get recognized and somebody says, hey, I want to give you some money to make a real movie. That's how you become a director. And, you know, there's plenty of books out there. There's a thing back there called the internet that you can use. Here's a book that I've seen so many times on so many directors' bookshelves. So I recommend this to any of you. It's called Film Directing Shot by Shot. It's by a guy named Stephen Katz, K-A-T-Z. You can pick it up at a used bookstore. I promise you it's worth your time if that's your gig, if that's what you want to do. And you know what? Hey, if you want to be an actor, an actress, not a bad idea to understand what these people are doing. So I'll put that up, or I'll give that to Barbara, and we can send you that link as well. So the AD team, I wanted to go through sort of what happens in pre-production, what happens in production, and how you'll fit into that. Or more importantly, sometimes if you start in this gig as a PA in the AD department and you're working your way up, knowing what your boss knows makes you invaluable, right? Because then you can add and take away stress and things from her or his job. So I wanted to share with you a couple things, main points of what they do, just so you're familiar with what the AD team does. So as a first AD, and this is a great exercise, and I wish you all could do it. I wish we were live in a classroom, because we do. But this is some tools that you might want to get if you're going to break down your script. And I strongly encourage that you break it down physically, not in the computer first, but practically do it with your hands and get the smell of the script in your nostrils and get the feel of the ruler and the markers and such. This is in the PA book and in the AD book too. So these slides I've pulled from that material. So you'll see this if you haven't taken a screenshot, or if you can't remember the colors and you can't write them down fast enough, they're in that. But what an AD does, whether he's working or she's working on a $5 project or a $60 million project, is I feel a good AD will start with these materials, and then they'll start breaking down the script. I'm not going to go into it tonight. That's the point of the AD seminar that I do. But it looks something like this when you're physically breaking it down. You've got little notations that are common throughout, so to speak. Like my exteriors, I always have a green color that I highlight them with, because, I mean, for me, I just remember green grass, green trees. I have a highlighter of yellow for interior. It's an orangey kind of highlighter that I use. I have a blue one for night. I have pink for whenever I have the actress. I want to make sure that I see that they're there. Because what I'm doing when I break down the script is you've got such a big project in front of you. The way we all do it, right, is you find the little pieces and you break it down in little pieces, and then you, like a lady that lives, I own this old church. It's awesome, on this lake in a small town north of here, and I was renovating it for my wedding years and years ago, and I was just blowing my brains out with so much stuff to do, and she came across the street. She was 80-some years old, and she said, "Kenny, how do you eat an elephant?" And I was like, "Well, what, Liz? What, Liz?" She's like, "How do you eat an elephant?" I don't know, Liz. How do you eat an elephant? And she was like, "One bite at a time, one bite at a time." And I was like, "Oh." And that kind of life-changing, because that's how you approach anything in life, right? You just like little pieces. So what a first AD does is they break down the script physically, and then they'll input it into a computer program, which I'll show you, and away we run. So these are programs that I think the one on the right, on my right, your left, maybe the Celtics one, I think it's for free. I think a lot of these programs you can use for free, for trial, of course. But the key one is this Movie Magic scheduling. Everybody in the business that is in the business, right, uses Movie Magic scheduling. because I say that because it's transferable. It has a lot of, everybody uses it so they can transfer things, is what I'm saying. It was first to the gate, and it's, I think, still the best. Well, what you do with it is once you punch in all those little elements into this computer program that you've earmarked right in your script, then it forms this list here, right? You've got your cast members you can see, you've got the props listed there, and then you can push another button and it'll push the, it'll pump out a one-line schedule. And that's kind of sort of a condensed version of all that crap, right? And that schedule there will list daily what scenes are being shot. And this will go to you as a crew member so that you now have what's called a one-line schedule in front of you so you can see, you know, what's going on day to day to day. Now, those change just like a script. With those script revisions, you'll get shooting schedule revisions or one-line revisions, but they'll come out, usually a whole brand new one-liner will come out. And so what a first AD does is these strips, they can move them around, right, in the computer program, and they can add as much information as possible. I love filling this with information, and I just hope that somebody will read it. Usually crew do. But things like even how long I feel the scene is going to take to film. And I figure that out based on like a lot of, well, that's the other course, but a lot of hurdles that you have to jump over to say, okay, I want that scene there for this reason and that reason. But anyway, so that's what a one-liner is, and that's what the first AD does during pre-production or prep. And then this is just a bigger version. If anybody has any questions at any time, pop up and unmute yourself. This is what the schedule looks like when it's big. I mean, this is about probably a 100-page document, and so you can see that when you push the button and it puts it into the one-liner and just condenses that. This is an unwieldy document, but it has everything, is I guess what I'm trying to tell you. You can see up there, it's got the name of the show, day 1, Monday, June the 20th. It's got the estimated call time, because as an AD, I can kind of figure out, right, how long each scene should take to shoot, and when we're going to end at the end of the night. The daylight hours, that's kind of important to know, right, when magic hour is, when the sun's going to go down. I also look at, all the props I've listed there. The actors, cast members, animals, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea there. I have a tagline, right? It tells you where I am. I'm interior warehouse building apartment 9. And then the slug line, Jill gets a kitten, they hear carolers. How many pages that is? So I'm not going to explain it in this seminar, but all of this information means something to everybody. And so for you to be able to read it, right now, just for you to kind of understand the basics is what I'm after here. This is what a one-liner looks like. You can see how it's condensed there. Like if I go down in the middle, estimated call 10 o'clock, wrap at 21:15, daylight hours, scene 28. It's got listed the taglines, the actors that are involved, how many BG. I love putting that in there. Because why? Well, the costumers can then look at this and go, okay, if call time is at this, and they've got 3 BG, I don't need to hire my girl early or bring her in early, but I have to bring her in early for the next 10. You know what I'm saying?
How come there's a scene 23, part 1 and part 2?
How come there's scene 21, part 3 and part 2? Well, sometimes, I think the best example I could tell you is the phone call. So this actor's talking to another actor, but we're not at that location yet, right? Or that actor's not, the other actor on the other line, we shoot that another day. So I'm going to shoot the first part of the scene here, and then 20 days down the road when the other actor at the other end of the line is with us, we're going to shoot that. Did that answer that question?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's very small, Brett, right? But that's a small example. But think of explosions, right? Think of stunt sequences. Think of, special effects. Those things take days and days and days. And so just like the script where you cut it up into small pieces, sometimes you have to take a scene and cut it up into even smaller pieces because you got to figure out how you're going to schedule it. Like how many hours is each little piece going to take? And, as you get further along in this business, as an AD, I can tell you, it's going to take roughly 45 minutes to reset a squib or half an hour to reset a squib. The squib is like this, it's like a thing like this that's got blood in it, and you put it under your shirt, and then you pull a trigger, and it goes poof like that. Well, it takes the costume department a while to take that shirt and de-stress it here so that the poof will happen, and it takes a while for the special effects to rig it in, And then if we do it once, okay, that's great. Do we have to reset? How long does it take to reset? So anyways, blah, 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 blah. My point is, I don't know what my point is. That's how you schedule shit, right? You just, all of these elements come into play. Any other questions?
Thanks.
No.
Okay.
Thanks.
If anybody wants to take a break, we can take a break.
I have
Yes?
one quick question or thing. That's basically what you have on the first page of the sides, right? It really looks like the first page of the sides. Am I right?
The shooting schedule or the one-liners, what you're asking is the
Yeah,
one-liner.
the one we were just
front
looking at.
side.
Yeah, that's,
On the front of your sides, I didn't show this one. Remember, I showed this one. These sides is what Janice is talking about. We carry these in our back pocket. And the sides are a mini script. I think I mentioned that to you. But this way you can, put them in your back pocket. And it's just the shooting for the day. Instead of carrying around your unwieldy script, right? But on the front, this is what we call the old folks sides. There's more derogatory terms that we use on set, but it's for those of us that can't read. I'm 50, right? I need something like this. But it's the same thing. It's the sides just with, but on the front of it, to answer Janice's question, is always the call sheet. It's always the call sheet, and then usually you'll have the back of the call sheet, and I'll explain the call sheet in more detail. It wouldn't be the one-liner. Everybody will have a one-liner, but they'll have it in their own little pocket somewhere. That answers that, yes?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So the first AD during production is kind of like the one at the helm of the ship. She's there steering it. It's actually not the director. It's not the DP. You need somebody at the front of the ship who's saying, hey, no, we're going that way. Hey, we're going that way. We need this. We got to get this ready. Get this ready because we're going on to the next shot. That's what the first AD does. They're more or less like a traffic cop, a very smart traffic cop, and understands logistics and understands timings and all of that. But that's what a first AD does during shooting. The second AD, or sorry, some of the tools I wanted to share with you that an AD will use. I always have a red pen in my pocket. That's a clicker and doesn't have a cap. It's just a tip I want to give you, my Dutch Uncle Kenny tip, because if it has a cap, you'll lose it and things will happen. But if I have a red pen, I don't have one here, but I always put it like that, right? And this goes in my pocket. These are my sides. But to have a red pen is necessary because you've got to, it stands out from this black and white ink, yeah? So that's just one stupid little tool that you need, or that you should have. I have a little thing in the middle there, which is just a trifold, and I'll show you that a little later. But I use that to keep all my material together as an AD. That's the Movie Magic program that I use. I always have a watch. I don't use my phone. I have an actual physical watch that I use because the phone is just too distracting. There's a light there, right? Use a wristwatch. I have a kit, and I'll bring mine. If I ran into the kitchen, I would bring it. But you need a kit like this as an AD. Don't get this as a PA. I'm just kind of showing you some of the things that we need or that we use as an AD. The second AD, I always refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. Tomorrow because he or she is always looking forward. That's their gig. The first AD is on set running the ship. The second AD is back in the trailers getting tomorrow ready. And in pre-production, they'll create this thing, which is called a prep schedule. So you need somebody there, on the phones and at a computer, calling up all the different department heads, the different cast members, the extras casting people, the caterer, the dialect coach. Somebody's got to be doing all of this. So it's a very managerial gig, but it's also, it's a very creative scheduling gig. You interact with a lot of people because you're actually on set. You're just in base camp, but you're always going up to set. But in pre-production, you're doing it on the phone. But this is what you're creating, right? You can tell by the slide here what we're trying to do. We're getting hair consults done. So I've got to bring in the actress, which costs us money, right? I have to bring in the hairdresser or the makeup artist. They have to consult and talk about what they think the actress is going to look like or what, where they believe they're going with this character in different parts of the story. And then the director weighs in, and then the DP weighs in, right? Because she's lighting the actor. And then, of course, the producer weighs in because shit costs money. So all of this stuff has to happen in pre-production. They create a look. So that's what that means. And we have tutors come in. So if we have children that are cast members, we have to tutor them throughout the show. So that has to happen. These things happen in the pre-production, the second AD puts this together and puts up pickup times at the bottom.
Hey,
During
Kenny,
production, sorry?
before you get into the call sheet, can we take a 5-minute break or something, please?
I'd love to. So I'm going to try this because I'm new at it, everybody. I'm going to push pause. And we'll come back. It is currently on my clock. It's 7 o'clock my time, whatever time. Why don't we just come back in 10 minutes? Is that cool?
Yep.
It works for me.
Okay.
Everybody
Awesome.
pause your videos and mute yourselves so we don't see anything unseemly.
Oh, cool. There, I paused it. Did I pause it?
I see it paused, Kenny. Your
But you can
slideshow
hear me.
paused.
Okay. I will mute myself.
Don't forget to unmute yourself, Kenny.
I'm going to try. There I am. Now I got to share this screen. Am I still sharing my, I must be sharing my screen. Oh, this
I
is
see your
painful.
screen.
Okay. God, thank you, Barbara. Now how I got to play this thing. Okay.
Can everybody hear Kenny? Give him a thumbs up or
Yeah,
something.
I can hear him.
Awesome, Lance. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Very good. Thank you.
I'm going to slow down because it's hard getting out of the gate, you guys. I haven't done this in about a year. And bearing with me, it gets interesting. It gets better. I just need to chill out a little bit. And I do want to go slow, but the other part of it is like, God, there's some good stuff. I want to get through it. Anyways, I've got 2 new messages. Holy cow.
Again,
Okay,
if
good.
anybody has any questions and wants to put them in chat, or if they want to, if you want to break sometime, or Kenny to slow down or speed up, put it in the chat and I'll nudge Kenny. I'm not afraid to speak up and tell them what to do.
Yeah. If you need a pee break. Okay, so there's the call sheet. I'm going to go through that in another section in finer detail. The call sheet, I should have gone back to that, sorry. The call sheet is just like that prep schedule, right? It tells us what's going to happen in production, what's going on day after day after day. And it's the second AD that's putting that together. And I know it looks like a hell of a lot of black and white ink, and it is, but there's a lot of good stuff in there that I will go through in detail with you when we get to that. The AD team, because I got a lot to go through tonight. The AD team, the third AD, in the United States, we call them the second AD. They're a second AD technically in the union, and on the show, they're coming in to help out. So they're kind of like the second AD, if that makes sense. Or sometimes on a show, they'll hire permanently. Like I've got a dear friend that works on Grey's Anatomy, and I know they have a full-time second AD, right? It's a big show. So in Canada, we call it a third AD. In England, they call it a third AD. And this is kind of like, I didn't want to detail it too much. This is what they do. They primarily work during production, not in prep. They may have a couple days in prep, but this is what they really are. They're herding the sheep toward, bad analogy. They're herding the cast onto the set. They're herding the crew onto the set. They're liaisoning between set and what's called base camp. They may work on set full time. They may work in base camp full time. But this is kind of what they're doing, the third AD. And in Canada and in the US, that's kind of the step that you take after you have a certain number of days working as a production assistant. And in the DGA, it's different. There it's 700 plus days. In Canada, it's much less than that. I think it's like 100. But you work your way up. Anyways, below those 3 union positions are usually non-union positions. And this is where you're gonna slide in. Here, there's a key set PA. You work up to being a key set PA. You start out as a daily PA. You get called in for one day when there's a big crowds that you have to control, or there's a lot of extras that have to be choreographed or whatever. Or, and then you get called in for a week long, somebody. And then after that, you start getting, hired as part of the staff PAs. And so I'm going to share with you in the AD team these positions. The key set PA is a great gig to have. I loved it because you're on set all the time. And you're running the set with the first AD. You're helping choreograph the extras. You're essentially choreographing the crew and moving everything forward. And some of these tasks are what you would perform. Like you're responsible for what does the camera see? Well, you're the one that's yelling at people and saying, hey, I need that, not yelling. You're talking politely to people saying, I need that grip equipment moved because the camera's going to see it. Or I need the frame lines so that I know where I can put my extras, right? And you'll be doing that as a PA. You'll be choreographing. And the ADs do it, but you always help out with this. You're the mouthpiece for the first AD on set. She needs the people that don't have walkies to know what's going on. For instance, hair and makeup usually don't. So he or she needs the street locked up in front of the set. So there needs to be a key set PA out there that's got PAs at each end of the street. And he or she's telling them, we got to lock up the street, make sure nobody comes in. I'll explain what these little terms are in a bit here, what a lockup is. Which BG come into play? Who's going to be seen in the shot? They look at things like that. I'll explain more when we get into that section about the background. they delegate responsibilities to other PAs. So that's kind of, you're working your way up. Some of these things that you have your PAs do is these lockups. I did a lockup on a Schwarzenegger picture in LA, and I was just a farm kid from Saskatchewan, right? And it was a back alley kind of thing. I was locking up. It was a big scene with Huey helicopters and people coming out of the helicopters and cars racing and a guy falling. And so it was all about safety. And when you're locking up, you do these things. You don't face the action that's going on. You face away from it because you got people coming. When I say people, I mean like the general public who wants to see what's going on. And you're that person that's locking it up, making sure they don't go beyond a certain point because you don't want them to get hit by a falling something, right? So this is one of the gigs, is locking up. And as a key set PA, you can't do all the lockups. You have day playing PAs out there doing this. So if you'll get hired, and one of your first gigs is a day playing PA, I want you to know how to do a lockup, and that's that. You face your back to the camera. It's making it safe for the public, right? You're very polite. I know all of you are very charming. You're witty. You got a sparkling personality. Like, hi, I'm Kenny Chaplin. Listen, we're just filming this little small movie here. It's nothing. Who's in it? Oh, you know what? A guy named, you won't know. A guy named Mel Gibson's in this picture. I kid you not. But hey, listen, you can't take any photos right now. No, because we're about ready to roll camera. And you know what? I need you to just be very quiet. You can watch. I just need you to be very quiet because we didn't write you into the script or nothing, eh? And they all get a giggle out of that, but you're trying to, make them your friends instantaneously, and they're late for work. So anyways, that's what a lockup is. I didn't know that when I started out. I hope that helps some of you. And as you're a key set PA, as you move up, I'm just showing you what your boss is thinking of. He or she is looking at these things. If you're outside shooting, just like outside my house here, I know there's an alley. There's an alley back there. There's a street there. There's a street there. There's houses, right, with all these yahoos who are my neighbors who want to come out and see the movie that's filming on my front lawn. So I have to put PAs in those doors or at the end of the street. So these are kind of the things that I think about, hey, when I'm a key set PA. So again, I'll slow down here. I'll breathe. If you want, take a screenshot of that. Oh, I love this, you guys. Oh, I love this. This is my favorite gig ever as an AD, is to set background and choreograph them and make it look real. Like I've had some, yeah, I can't, this is just, I'll share some experiences with you, but setting the background is like, they are this right here, man, right here. Here's Ruby's fish. They are this, right? Without this is pretty goddamn boring. But the blue makes you go, oh, it's a fish in the water. And something's happened here. But they're like paint on the canvas. And you as an AD, as a production assistant in the AD department, you're going to be choreographing them and making this stuff look real. So that's a really cool gig to do too. Oh, boy, we got a lot to get through, Kenny. Come on. Base Camp PA is a production assistant that works with the cast and the hair and the makeup people primarily down there in base camp. Somebody needs to run up and get a coffee. Somebody needs to be there to run up and get the main actress who's in her trailer running lines a sandwich. Somebody needs to be there to load extras into a van that have changed down in base camp and need to be set to camp or set up to the set. So we need a grunt there, right? But somebody that's smart to help run base camp. They're the base camp PA. And so you work closely, right? You work closely with the cast. You work very closely with the hair and makeup and the wardrobe team. And this is what we call base camp. I just drew a little picture for you, but most base camps are they try to set up like that, hey? So and then when I say, hey, you're looking at going, what do you mean? Well, you kind of like cast number 1 is your main actress. Cast number 2 is number 2 on the call sheet. They're the bigwigs, right? Well, you kind of want them to be as close to the hair and makeup trailers as you can when you lay out your base camp. The same with wardrobe, right? They don't have to walk as far. Anyways, and so that's how we set it up. But what it looks like is what I wanted to share with you. So these are what we call singles, and it's one trailer for usually the lead actor, actress. In lower budget films, the trailers are not as high end. If in big budget shows like this one, like this would have been Las Vegas, it would have been De Niro's or Morgan Freeman's, it would be their trailer. But just trying to educate you in terms of what the single is and why it's important, right? You'd notice that when you walk into, any of you that have been in the base camp, you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, well, there's number 1, there's number 2, there's the stunt players, There's all the extras, right? You can tell by the trailers. This is a 2-banger. So maybe the cast members that are in for a week kind of thing, or in for maybe 2 weeks. They need something bigger to stretch out in, but they don't want a small. Anyway, so it's called a 2-banger or two-hole. And we got a 3-banger. Call them 3-banger.
Kenny, who sets up base camp? Who's in charge of the layout of where a trailer goes, where the makeup trailer goes?
You will have a very smart transportation captain. And the transportation captain has worked his or her way up in the transportation department. And they know, they've seen a zillion base camps. They will coordinate with the owner of these trailers for their arrival, and then he will have a set of teamsters, possibly if it's a union show or a non-union, set of drivers. Any of you, Brett, maybe in Maryland, are retired, need somebody that can drive as a Class A. Anyways, you get what I mean. To answer your question, Barbara, there's a transportation captain who organizes this, and they will know how to lay it out. Of course, they will talk to the locations people, because the locations people are the ones, the locations manager or assistant manager will know where they can plug these trailers in for power, where they can put the generator so that it's blocked, so that it doesn't emit a lot of sound, right? It's blocked by a wall or something. So it's a lot of coordination, but the transport captain will organize this. So that's a 3-banger. It's usually 12 by 12 space. This is a, I'm so in my head, you guys, you all have that little voice in the back of your head going nonstop, and I'm here, go, Kenny, because there's so much stuff, and it's like, you know what, you guys, I'm going to give you as much as I can, and I'm sure you'll be happy. I'd love to get through all of this. I'm going to slow down. This is the makeup and hair stations, right? And this is common, is why I'm showing you this pictures. When you see this trailer, you'll know, right, with the pop-ups and everything, it's going to be the hair and makeup stations. And then the wardrobe truck is quite unique in its own, too. Looks like by the reflection, there's a bus driving through that glass doors. But they'll always have a tailgate that folds down like that and big, wide open doors. Sometimes the props department will, too. And hey, on big shows, I have a great friend of mine. His name is James Eddy. IMDb him or Google him or whatever. He's a prop master. He's done so many good things. He's just a great guy. He's got his own trailer now, right? Well, it's not the one that the company hires. It's like his, and it's gorgeous, this gorgeous thing. Anyways, you can imagine what it would look like. But wardrobe trailers look like that, just so you're aware. And then on lower end shows that don't have the money, right? They just use a simple motorhome, and everybody's in there. The Grips got their stuff in there. Well, the Grips will usually have theirs in the pickup truck, but the makeup and hair will be in there, and then wardrobe will throw their stuff in there, and Crafty will throw their stuff in there. And oh yeah, we got an actress that has to change in here, and so you'll run the gamut there. And then you'll always have a honey wagon, and the honey wagon is just like a trailer or 2 trailers that have smaller rooms. So my day plane actors would get this, or my stunt performers would get this, or even if I'm, I maybe have 10 extras for the day. Well, I can open a couple of these rooms and they can change in there, and that's called a honey wagon. It's important to know where that is, because oftentimes, well, always, usually the assistant directing department has an office there, a mobile production office in the honey wagon. And at the end of the honey wagon, there's usually always shitters or toilets, right? And to service the people that work in the circus, which is, can be miles away from where set is. Any questions? Can I slow down?
So is that it? Two bathrooms for the whole for the whole set?
No, sorry. This is so just for base camp. This will service base camp. And now if base camp's, big, like base camp, sorry, I just, thank you for that question, because sometimes I just assume you don't know what you don't know, right? This will service about the 30 people that run around base camp. And then at set itself, there'll be either porta potties or, the facilities that were staged in have bathrooms. They'll be there for the crew. And then the tech trucks are parked up there, of course, at set. You try, as in locations, as a locations manager, you try and get these 2 big pieces as close together as you can. But, you got to live with what, if they were to film in my house here, the closest place where they could park all these things would be in a park that's 2 blocks down that way. And that takes time, right, for people to get to set. And they have to hop in a van and get driven. Well, that means we have to hire more vans because we're farther away and more, you know what I'm saying? So, well, I went off on a tangent there.
Do the actors' trailers have bathrooms in them?
The actors' trailers do have bathrooms in them. Thank you. Yes. Except for like the honey wagon, you know, but the 2-bangers and the 3-bangers do.
So basically, if you're high enough up on the call sheet, you're the big star, you're going to have your own trailer with your own bathroom. As you get less important, you're going to have a smaller trailer, maybe shared with someone with a bathroom on the back. And if you're background cast, you're probably going to have a porta potty in some room far off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. And then, you know, here's this is the inside of a typical AD office. But I share this with all of you. Again, the AD course that I do, and it's in the book too, is it details the different tasks that's expected of you as a base camp PA. Like even things like writing, you know, the cast's character name on a piece of tape and sticking that on their trailer door and not their real name. And doing that each night for the next day's work, like little tasks like that, setting up this office, all of that, you can see it's culture in its own, right? There's like everything, right? It has its own I don't know what I'm trying to say, but.
And back to the placement of the base camp and the trailers, you said the locations handles that. Also, the locations would handle permits for that. Like if you're parking on someone's property or a city street or something, locations would handle all that as well.
Yeah. But I do, as an AD, make sure that the permits are there on the day. Because I've worked on sets before where we have to go because we didn't get the permission or the permit.
But all of that, the location permits and stuff, that's all supposed to be all in place. Cross your T's, dot your I's and everything before you even shoot.
Yeah. In theory. And then you get into productions that don't have the money. So there's anyways, we won't get into that right now. From Lanza, on the shows I've worked on, the unit manager looks after base camp, and that could be Lanza because you're over in Fiji. Every jurisdiction's different, right? In terms of like up here in Canada, the locations department is kind of under the production wing, right? And unit managers often become location managers because they're so tied, because those are expensive things. So I want to say yes, exactly. Gotcha.
There's some nuances depending on the jurisdiction or country that you're in.
Yeah, we all do things differently and better in different places, right? That's why it's great to travel on all these shows. I mean, God, you guys, when I got put on a plane to go to Malta, like I'm a kid from a farm in Saskatchewan, I'm going to Malta. And they're paying me and paying my airline ticket. No, it's just, okay. So the first team PA, a great gig to get. You have to be a really cool person to be a first team PA because you're dealing with the cast. You can't take shit. You kind of can't give shit, but you meet in between, right? Because like with Val Kilmer, I worked with him and we had a great little sort of, boys club banter back and forth with each other where we would do silly things, right? But he'd always know when it was time to get to set and do things. And you've got to have that wit, charm, and sparkling personality. You really have to be able to be gregarious and understand and read people, read people's body language very well. Anyways, you got to know these things about where they are at all times. You're kind of looking after them and helping them through hair, makeup, and helping them to set and that kind of thing. It's a great gig. You work your way up to it, right? You're not going to just put yourself out there if you don't know the culture. You're going to work your way into it. Maybe start as a base camp PA and then try and get, as a first team. There's the background PA. I did this for a number of shows, big shows. Like I did background PA for Thin Red Line. I did it for Ride with the Devil. I did it for Judging Amy, blah, blah, blah. It's a great gig too. Runaway Jury, when I had to set this incredible front on the riverbank party scene with fire breathers and jugglers, and It's crazy shit, but it was so much fun. Like you're signing them in, you're getting them in costume, you're meeting them on set, you're choreographing them, you're signing them out at the end of the day, and it's been 16 hours, and you've all been through a battle. It's an awesome gig to do, is to be in background PA, and it makes you a better AD if that's the road you want to get into. There's a distro PA, the person that I need somebody out there on bigger shows, right? A lot of these, you're all wearing these caps. But I need somebody to make sure they're distroing the sides and the scripts and that kind of stuff. And the walkie PA, we communicate on walkie-talkies. I'll talk about that tomorrow, but I need somebody managing that, right? Making sure that there's always hot bricks, we call them, or batteries on the set, that there's some getting charged. There's extra walkies when we have cars in the scene, so I can throw a walkie in a car. I'm going to mute that, Barbara. Barbara asked that I mute the music. It's done, Barbara. Yeah, and there's these gigs, and these gigs are fun too. They're the additional base camp PA. When I've got bigger shows with a lot more actors, they need more attention and more care. So I'll have an additional base camp PA. But sometimes when I've got a scene with a lot of cars in it, I need a car wrangler, somebody to be wrangling those extras and those cars to set and lining them up where we need them on set. And he or she will have 2 or 3 PAs with them to help, an extra backpack, walkies and such. I have a B camera PA, so I have these 2 pictures up here. I've got, this is Ridley Scott on my right, and this is the show I worked with him on called Body of Lies. We have this scene where it was in the Amsterdam outdoor marketplace. We were shooting it in Washington, D.C., or Baltimore, actually, I think it was. And in the scene, this car blows up, and there's a terrorist and chaos and all of this kind of stuff. And we had hundreds of extras, and we had like 50 to 100 stunt performers. We had this car that when it blows up, there's these cables underneath that the cars would go, sorry, you can't see this, the cars would go like this, right, as the car blew up, and we had stunt performers behind that jumping. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. It was a huge scene. At each camera, there were 5 cameras set up. There were 2 on the ground, on the floor, so to speak. There was one in a building, like 4 stories up looking down. There's one on a rooftop over there, and then there was a helicopter. Well, you have a camera team with each of those, right? I'd love to be in Fiji with you. Anyways, because he works on Survivors, shows like that. Anyways, he's one of our guests tonight. But my point is, each of these camera teams need a PA from the AD team beside them, so that the first AD, when he or she yells rolling and from the director action, when these cameras should be rolling, they need that person there to just, so again, it's not rocket science, you just have to be good at communicating. And on this show with Ridley Scott, it was amazing, you guys, because he sat there and he had a bank of 5 monitors for each camera, right? 1 camera in the helicopter, 1 in the, and he had labeled on each of the screens, A, B, C, D, E, camera A, camera B, cameras, and it was our base camp PA, our first team PA, my apologies, our first team PA, her name was Michelle, she was brought up to sit with Ridley Scott and over the walkie dictate what camera Ridley wanted going at that moment in time, because the first AD was at 8 camera, right? So he needed Michelle here. And so she would say, and the great thing about Ridley Scott is he's always on time, right? Always on budget, and he knows how to shoot he edits in camera. So he wouldn't roll all cameras at once like, most inexperienced directors do. They just want as much footage as they can get. He doesn't want that because he wants control right in the editing room. Anyways, so he's sitting there and he's got in his head, hey, he's got the sound of what the soundtrack, and he's hitting himself like this, and he's pointing and he's looking at Michelle and he's like, A. And so she's like, roll camera A, right? And then action starts, so the whole sequence starts, and then roll, right? He's going to C, and then he's going to F, and then he's going back to E, and then he's shutting off A. He's going back and forth, and she's relaying that to, it's incredible. Anyways, so that's the B camera PA. Video Village PA, I need somebody at Video Village, which was kind of like what Michelle was there at that moment. If my first AD is off doing something, I need somebody to relay information. The helicopter PA, yeah. I mean, there's a PA, hey, you want to go in a helicopter today? We need somebody up there to relay to the camera to when it should be rolling. Yeah, and then this. I did this show called Runaway Jury in New Orleans, and this Natalie Borlaug, she had just started in the business. She'd gotten out of film school, and she didn't know her ass from a hole in the ground on a film set. She'd never been really on a film set like this, but she knew the director, and so she got on in the AD department as a PA, and I was fortunate enough to work with her and train her. To some degree, she jumped into the base camp really well. She had a great personality, and she worked with the cast a lot, hey? Getting them to set with us, her and Andrea. They're priceless. One of the things that came out of it, though, was like, she was like, okay, Kenny, when the show's done, like, what am I going to do? I only know this crew, right? And they're in New Orleans, and she originally came from Dallas, but she was coming out of LA. And at that time, Rachel Weisz, who's the actress on this side of the screen there, she was looking for a new assistant, a new cast assistant, because hers was leaving at the end of that show. And she turned to Natalie and said, like, you want to be my cast assistant? And Natalie was like, well, what do I do as a cast assistant? Well, you download my iPod, you take my dog out, take a shit, you take my laundry, you take my photos to the 1 hour photo, you know, that kind of stuff, right? And Natalie like, well, it ain't rocket science. And like within, I think, 3 months, I got messaged from her that she was in South Africa. I think she was shooting The Fountain there or something. And then, or The Constant Gardener. And the next time she called me, she was in Ireland. And then she was in New York. Natalie was, right? And I was like, wow. And she's getting paid well and traveling. And anyways, it was, if you were an actor, an actress, and you're like, how do I get in the business? You know, this is a good gig, eh? Like, offer yourself up as a cast assistant to Kenny. Well, let your film commission know, right? There's always what do you call it? An inventory, a list of crew members on their website. See what it takes in your local community to get on that. Anyways, and so Natalie became a cast assistant. And now, the last time I looked, she was on that Dunkirk, that real military movie Dunkirk. She was the travel coordinator. She had to coordinate the boat, like, you know, make booking, the boats, the Marines, the helicopters, the cast, the hotels, yeah. Awesome, hey? That's how she started out. She started as a PA with us on Runaway Jury and then worked her way up. Oh, great. Hey, you're from South Africa. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so those are, and a director's assistant. I was a director's assistant in Vancouver, and I did the same thing for Chuck. His Chuck Bowman, his son was more famous than he was, because his son was, this was in the 90s, his son was doing X-Files, like the lead director for the X-Files TV series, and Chuck had a little show to come to Vancouver, and I got on it as his assistant, and I got his cigars. I went for dinner with the director every night so he could vent to me and tell me all of his problems on set. And I like, what a film school, right? If you're an actor or an actress, what kind of a film school would it be like to be in Natalie's position? Anyways, okay, producer's assistant, same idea there. And to me, this is what an AD does. Henry, our party's total chaos. What do we do? When do we eat? Where to stand? Oh, thank God, here comes a border call. Because that's what we do. We heard people and heard information. Heard them, I mean. So that's my little spiel on the AD department and on different PA positions. That's kind of what I wanted to get through with you. I do this thing like Aristotle said, tell you what we're going to tell you, and then tell you, and then tell you what I've just told you. I've just told you what we learned. If there's any questions about these PA positions, please let us know. This is the action I want you to take. Like, just go out and get the little red pen with the clicky on it. Get a couple of them. How many of you that work on a set have one? You should, because you'll use it time and time again. So that's a little, write that down. And my Dutch Uncle Kenny tip for you is this: is that sometimes you'll be so busy talking to people on your walkie-talkie, walking the set, getting interrupted, that you're not listening to the walkie from set itself. And you don't know if they're rolling or not, so you don't want to like barge into, and you don't want to get on the walkie and say, hey, are we rolling? And so many people do. Well, my Dutch Uncle Kenny tip to you, please do this. Just look at the boom pole. If you can see it, look for the boom pole. Because if it's straight up and down, they ain't recording nothing, right? And if they are, it's MOS without sound, so it doesn't matter. If you see that, then obviously. So that's my little Dutch Uncle Kenny tip. Now, any questions?
Everybody knows what a boom pole is, right?
I'm sorry, Barbara?
I said everyone knows what a boom pole is, right?
I'm sure. Yeah. So I want to end with this. As an AD, this kind of gives you a way I think as an AD, and how you will differ if you come up in this department because you touch every single department. You're isolated. You're different when you're not an AD, and I mean it by this. This is an actress named Pell James. We had her on a show called Surveillance, which was with Bill Pullman and Julie Ormond, incredible actors, here in this little town of Regina. And Pell had, in her character, the way the hairstylist had designed it with her was that she was blondish, and she's normally a brunette. So there was a lot of streaking and shit going on. Clearly, I don't have hair. I don't know what that all means. But it takes time, apparently. It takes actually an hour and a half to 2 hours every Monday morning when you bring the actress in. And that kind of hoops you for shooting if she's in a lot of scenes, right? You got to work around that. So our hairstylist knew this. And she offered to me as a second AD, when I was making the call sheet for the following Monday, she said, you know, Kenny, I was talking to Pell, and she's going to come in on Sunday, and we're going to do her hair on Sunday. So you, when she comes in on Monday morning, her hair is literally, I just need 5 minutes to go, and she'll be done. So you can actually move her up and bring her in earlier so we can get the work done. Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty smart of me. That's pretty production friendly. But then I asked the hairstylist, I said, so you're going to be doing this in the trailer? Yeah, she said. I'm like, well, I got to get the guy that owns the trailer then to come in on a 6th day of work, which is mucho dollars, and unlock the trailer. Are you going to want, I'm not saying this to her, I'm thinking this. But I do ask her the questions. I said, do you want to use like water and electricity in that thing? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, okay, I've got to bring in the Jenny off. But the generator is a big machine, right, that powers our base camp. Somebody owns that, and the production company rents it from that individual, and they're always up the first one to strike it, and the last one at the end of the night going home. So they even have like 20-hour days all the time. But anyways, I need to bring that person in, right, to strike the Jenny, okay? And then I said, wait a second. Do you want this Pell to, like, she has to come here. How is she doing that? Well, you guys just pick her up at the hotel and bring her, Kenny. I'm like, so I got to get a transportation driver on a 6th day. You get what the hell I'm saying, right? So this is the way an AD thinks, that any decision that the rest of the crew makes, it's good for us to know because it has a trickle-down effect that you're not really aware of, right? Why would a hairdresser be aware of all of that? She wouldn't. Right, so there's my spiel. I gotta take a drink. Any questions before I move on to the BG boot camp? We only got an hour left. I got a boogie. Everybody good?
No.
I dare ya. Anybody just say hi.
We're all good. We're all good.
Good.
Okay, awesome.
If anybody has a question, just unmute yourself and speak up.
It's all good.
Hi, Nancy. This is my fun. This is the most enjoyable part, I think, is being involved with the background. And so I want to share this with you more from a perspective of those that just want to get into the business. A little bit at the end, I'll talk about working with them in terms of as a production assistant. Yeah, I'll mix the two of them because this is where I think most of you want to, start out. One of these two positions to get you into the business. This is what I want to go through, is how you process them through hair and makeup, in terms of getting the hair and makeup costume on, how you choreograph them on a set, how you get them paid, that kind of stuff. You want to know this as an extra. I love Penny Marshall. Directors should at least take acting lessons too. Oh, I can't see that. You can all read it. But that's true. If you want to be a grip, if you want to be a DP, yeah, it's pretty important to be a grip and electrician if you want to be a DP. Same kind of thing. So I started my career as an extra. So you're asking why on earth would I even, be privileged enough to talk to you about this incredible department? Well, because I started as one, and then I became an extras casting director, and then I became a PA and an AD, et cetera, et cetera. But I worked on this little film called The Thin Red Line. I say little, I shouldn't have said that. It's huge, right? It was big in the late 1997, I think it was. And it had John Cusack and Woody Harrelson and Nick Nolte and Sean Penn, and like it had everybody because Terrence Malick was the director. If you haven't seen this film, please go and see this film. It's an incredible art film, right? It's not the kind of film that you go to the, okay, so my brother wouldn't be going to this film. You gotta have the beer and the popcorn, and you gotta bang, 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 get the storyline like right at you. This one is a little bit more, yeah, it's incredible to see it. The Thin Red Line. Big cast, it had an incredible director, and I was fortunate enough to work on that, like my first film ever. I worked as the featured extra. And how I got in, that's another story. But these are, they ran us through a boot camp to begin with. There I am in the middle. Look at that guy with the hair. That's me there. And the bandana. Man, he looks bad. Woo! Yeah. Anyway, we got through. The guy on the top, boy, it would be my over. His name is Nick Stahl. He played with Mel Gibson in Man Without a Face. And then the guy beside him was a guy named Ben Chaplin. Not Ken, but Ben Chaplin. He went on to do a lot of stuff. Anyways. Okay, so Nick Nolte there, and you see John Cusack and Through the Elephant Grass. I got to do all this. There I am somewhere in here. I'm kind of on the front row there, second in from the left, but that's this is Charlie Company, the featured extras we were called because we were in with the main cast. How lucky was I, right? There's our whole crew after boot camp down at the bottom there. This is some of the final days of shooting in Australia on the ship. Like, I mean, you guys, to be in a, again, going back to why you want to do this gig, is you get to relive a period in time so authentically, like none other, to be on this ship with those costumes, and the costumes smell, right? Like they would have. They're full. I mean, I just found my costume, found it. From the Thin Red Line here, I put it on for you during the break. Believe me, it actually still fits after 20 some years. There's the singlet. But I asked for it at the end of the show. They never washed these things. Like it was a 60-day shoot, and I think they washed them once, if not maybe twice. They stunk. But anyways, my point is just living this is incredible. Well, there's a field hospital, so everybody had to get hurt. You got latex, but that's just a big thing out on his neck. So that's just latex, right? And then they dab. The makeup artists were incredible. How much fun was that? I did the background here in Regina. I did my first film here in Saskatchewan. It was just Prairie Giant, which is a huge show, right? About one of our greatest politicians in Canada. Came from Saskatchewan here. So I was lucky enough to get the BG casting gig. And my gig was to go out and find extras with faces. Our director was like, Kenny, I want character faces. I want Saskatchewan faces, tough faces. And that's where I met all my Regina friends, who I think are still my friends. Because look at these faces, hey? Like, what a great gig to be able to go out and do that. So, hey, listen, if you have a character face, you're much more valuable to the film industry than a pretty boy or a pretty girl. You have a lot more gigs, right? You think of all the character actors out there that you love. This guy on the little kid there, right? With the little cap on, sitting down. His name is Stiles Stenberg. He and I talk a lot. He's a great actor now in Vancouver. His biggest role, so his 15 minutes so far to fame, is in Deadpool. He played the Jerry the Pizza Guy. Stiles Stenberg right there. Stiles Dane he goes by. Anyways, so I was a casting director for that, and then I was a casting director for this great show called The Englishman's Boy. I was fortunate enough to travel across southern Saskatchewan to find 80 skinny, malnourished, long-haired First Nations people. This was like 2005. It was a huge job. It was incredible. And then to recreate all of this and live in this time period, you guys, for like, I think we shot this whole sequence for about 2 weeks. And the props people were amazing. Like bringing, they would go out and find, live dead carcasses, and they had to populate the camp like it was 1863. Look at that, hey? Great faces, great crew. Any of you from Regina on tonight, you remember this show at all? Did you work on it? No?
Yeah, I did.
Janice, you did. What'd you do on it?
I was a secretary for, I think, one of the political parties. I worked inside the Parliament buildings. And I was there.
Look at Janice, everybody. She's got a character face. I did good, didn't I? There.
I have a quick question, Ken.
Yes.
So if you go to a location as a casting director, let's say Malta, you've never been to Malta. Let's just assume. So it's a foreign place. It is, so you don't know the local anything. What would be your plan of action to get in there with, where to find the character actors, internet, going, how would you take that on?
Is this a position that you find yourself in now?
I will be looking at some things in South Africa, yeah. But I wanted to see what was your process of elimination in kind of getting those character actors when you're on foreign soil?
Oh. I did a lot of cold casting, casting calls where this was, not pre-internet, but kinda, 2005, right, 6. So I put signs all over the place. The production allowed, booked for me a venue that I could do the casting calls in. And back then I would be taking and printing out photos, right? And they would have a form to fill out. I'll show you that in the extras casting section that we'll go through. And I would be reaching out to groups, right? Like, it's really cool if you can hire a hockey team to come in for 5 hours. They get paid a little bit of money, like $500 or $1,000, instead of you paying. There's a lot of little tricks, but is that some kind of answer?
It does. It just shows that there's no real boundaries. It's just about how creative you can be. So there's, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes, ma'am. And then to go, like, to take it a step further, like any job, you want to be unforgettable and memorable. You got to pitch yourself too. If you're going into this cold, I don't know your situation, and we can talk about this, in another session if people aren't interested. But just, oh shit! Now see, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to tell you?
Oh God, I don't know.
Oh, it must have been important.
To be creative.
Oh. Like a plan.
Well, you have to be forceful. So what I'm saying to you is, if you didn't have a gig, right? If you were wanting to throw yourself out there as an extras casting person, I hope to God you know what that entails, and that you take a course at least, or talk to casting that have done it. But having said that, you pitch yourself in your books that you've created through these extras casting open calls to productions, and you get to know the producers in that community. Every town, every small little town across America, South Africa, they all have, or not small town, but city, right? They all have producers, right? Somebody's producing commercials and infomercials and documentaries and weddings and that kind of shit. So there's always somebody that wants your service. They got to get to know you.
Sure.
Answer that. Okay.
You did answer my question. Thank you for taking the time.
Okay, yes. Okay, so creating this realistic backdrop, that's what I want to get to. Oh boy, I got to hurry here, so we're going to hurry. So this is another name, right, for extras. Supporting artist, BG, extra. I love moving furniture. Anyways, there's different terms that you'll hear. But primarily, I always call them BG or background. A lot of people find the word extras demeaning. That term, I don't find it demeaning. That's the term, right? You're an extra body in the scene. Anyways, those are the terms, and this is what. This is just some pictures through the years of extras, and that one wasn't. But here, what I want to show you, those of you that are wondering how you get in, you find a casting call we put out nowadays, of course, online, usually on Facebook. So when you get on Facebook, search Pittsburgh extras casting, right, wherever you are. South Africa, whatever city you're in, extras casting, and they'll all pop up, of course, right? And you join them, and then you'll find that they cast, that they put their notices on there. Before, you'd find them on street poles, yeah? So this was the one that I, so fortunate, right? Stumbled across one night. I was at a bar, and there's another story there. But I can get into that. I found this on a lamp poster on a telephone booth. And I signed up the next day, and my life changed. Literally changed overnight. It was amazing. But that's so that's how extras casting people get the word out. Who can be an extra? There you go. The question is, who can't be? Really, nobody. Like, everybody can be an extra. Even I have a dear friend who's on with us tonight, Nancy, in Arizona. who works with people with hearing and visual disabilities. And I'm working to be able to provide a seminar like this to those folks, especially in, I think it was the Florida community. But I mean, it's online if anybody. Anyways, they can even work as PAs in the industry, right? They can even work as extras in the industry. There's no limitations, because again, the film industry, the pretty people, there's two of those, right? The main actor and the support, but everybody else, which is what you want to be, I think. Anyways, you'll get in line at an extras casting call, and with you want to bring with you a photo of yourself, but don't bring a headshot. Don't bring a headshot like that, because that kind of reeks of inexperience, because an extras casting person isn't the person that's going to hire you for the lead role, and they're not going to put, oh my God, that's a great photo style, I'm going to give that to the extras or to the casting director. It's not going to happen. So what we want is more practical, and that's kind of like this. I just took this with in Fiji. I took this at a zoo up in the forest or something. Anyways, I just took a selfie, right? Sorry. Yeah, a selfie. Just take a plain simple selfie, and then do this too. Add a second photo of your body. Oh, I thought that was funny. Okay, so take a full shot of your body so that we, the extras casting people, can pass this on to the wardrobe department, and they can see what you actually look like. And then, of course, this shot, I want to pass that on to hair and makeup if I need to, so they can see what you look like. I was just pausing because I thought maybe I should pause. What you want to know before you go into this extras casting meeting is this kind of stuff. Screenshot. And then this is how if you're not sure how to do it, there you go. But we need this information, and we need it for the wardrobe department or the costume department. They can do it, but man, you kind of stand out if you've already brought that with you, and it's legit, right? Like, you're honest with your sizes. And I'm speaking about costume departments that are doing period pieces, shows that are using clothes from that time period where the clothes are much smaller. Anyways, at the end of the day, you have this. You're going to build this. I can actually, well, I'm not going to, okay, I don't want to try it right now. I'm going to send you this file, and this is a template in Doc, right, in Word. So you can put your own, you can take out Kenny and put your own stuff in there. That's what you want for an extras resume, because this reeks of somebody who is a pro. It tells the casting department everything that the wardrobe needs, that hair and makeup need, definitely that props need to know. Maybe you speak other languages, so hey, this guy's not going to work as an extra. I'm going to bump him up, and I need somebody to teach my lead actor how to speak Spanish. Boom, there you go. I need specialized extras that I pay a lot of money for. So I see that Kenny here can play guitar. I'm going to bring him and his band in. I'm going to pay them some good money. Sports. I need, he plays hockey. We're hiring kids to play. You get what I mean. Clear as day. Up at the top, of course, I don't want to see your personal address up there, because you're just inviting stalkers. I just want to see that you got Salem, Ohio. I want to see where you live, that you live here. I can hire you locally. I'm doing the show in theory in Salem, right? And I got your phone number. I can reach out to you, and I've got your email address. That's all I want to know. And I'll send that file to you. The BG resume exercise is that. If we were in real life, we would do it right now. These are some of the things I want to share with you about the way you look. Yes? Make sure that you represent yourself in your photos exactly as you look like right now, because that's what they're casting you on. I've had more shows than I can count where the person walks in and I'm like, huh? Because they've gained a lot of weight, or they lost a lot of weight, or they cut their hair or dyed their hair, or whatever it might be, and you're of no use to me. because I'm casting for a specific look, right? And that's how I base it, is off of your photo. And this was what I was mentioning with creative budgeting too. If I'm an extras casting person, I just want you to understand, right, how you can get in as an extra. If you know that, hey, there's a BG casting person in town, they're casting for a soccer team, my daughter's on a soccer team, I can reach, you know, make the connection there, right? That's how we save money. And these are the different departments I just wanted to share with you in terms of who you're going to be working with as an extra. You're going to be directly involved with the AD department, directly involved with the hair department, makeup, props, costume, craft service who feed you. So I'm showing you this so you get the idea that, hey, as an extra, I can really get an education in the film department. Film, because you get to meet all these people, right? You don't learn this in film school. You get to talk to a senior makeup artist. Hey, while she's doing your stuff, hey, how do you get this gig? How can I be your assistant? Right? And then there's different categories of being a BG. So there's a general background performer that we put in the crowd scenes, and then there's a special ability background performer. So think of all those things that you guys can do and start writing that crap down. That you can ride horses, that you can rock climb, that you can, you know how to use a yo-yo, that you know how to juggle, that you know how to speak languages, all that kind of stuff that you're sitting back going, oh, I'm just a boring person. Wait. Yeah, I do know how to do that. Yeah, I knew how to do. Start writing that stuff down. Wouldn't Barbara be an amazing character actor doing social media for the FBI or something like that, right? That kind of stuff. Everything plays, you guys. Everything plays. If you want to be a stand-in or a photo double, you don't have to look exactly like the actor. We just want a substitute to step in under the hot lights while we tweak everything. That is the same skin tone and same height. Kind of looks similar, hopefully the same color hair, but you don't have to be an exact match. Photo double, more of an exact match. When you get booked, I'm going to speed up a little bit here, and I know Nancy doesn't want me to, but I got it. I want to get through some good stuff here. If you're booked on a show, these are kind of things that I want you to know, that you're going to be called for your availability, and then you're going to be sent an email the night before. And like a good person, you respond right away. That's why we have these phones now, right? We can do that, and the assistant cast or the casting people know that. So confirm right away, because we're doing this to 100 people. A lot of phone calls, a lot of texts and such. Yeah. Another just a tip is no friends or family allowed on set. You got a big movie shooting in your town, you landed an extras gig, you're like, hey, I want to tell everybody, I want to show everybody, you can come and what? No, it's you. That's because you cost money. You cost us money, not just what I'm paying you, right? But I have to hire a van to take you to set. I got to feed you while you're on set. I got to get a porta potty for you and blah, 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 blah. And when you're going to set, I like this thing. I created one myself. You'll see it there. I've got it up in my little screen here, right? But you'll see these signs pointing you to the direction of where extras are parking or the crew is parking. You're going to park there. I would highly advise you to like make one of these things. It's just laminated, but it's got my name, my position, my phone number. If I'm on a different part of the crew, I'm a costume PA or something like that. And I put it on my dashboard like that. It sits underneath the seat of my car when I'm not working, but it's always there to pull out so that when my car alarm goes off in the middle of the scene, they know whose car it is. Or they want to use your car in the scene and pay you more money, they know whose car it is. So make one of those things. That's my little tip for you. And arrive early too, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to arrive at crew parking and you're going to see this van. They're always white 15-passenger vans. They're like 90% of the time they are. And you're going to jump in there and you're like, you're early, right? Because you got 30, 40 minutes. The reason you got there 30, 40 minutes early is because that van ain't going to take off with just you in it. It's got to fill up with all the other crew members who are just like, But you're going to tell the driver where you're going. And you're going to tell them you're going to extras holding. And eventually, when the van is full, it's going to go to extras holding. And you're going to look for these signs, extras holding. You'll see signs to set and all that kind of jazz. And then you're going to get another line, just like at the airport. Maybe that's where I stole that from. But you're going to sign in with these happy people. And they're part of extras casting. This is from Ride with the Devil. In Kansas, north of Kansas City. We shot this patent curtain. It was great. All these fake buildings we had to make. Anyways, in order to be paid, you're gonna like fill out some paperwork, yeah? So there's another tip for you. Make sure you bring your passport with you. Make sure you bring your driver's license with you. Make sure you got, some identification, 2 pieces of identification, because you're going to have to fill out what we call is a voucher. And in Canada, we have an organization called ACTRA. In the US, we have SAG or AFTRA. Those are the unions that look after the actors. You're not one yet. You're a background performer. You're non-union. Nobody protecting you, right? But I just want to share with you who these people are, because they actually are in charge of looking after how the non-union people even get paid. They're interested in the voucher system. I'll explain that to you in a second here. If you want to join ACTRA here, because I'm coming to you live from Canada, this is the ACTRA site, right? There's a SAG site as well. Go on there and look at what it takes to join. This is what's called vouchers, and they're your pay slips, yeah? And so you're going to want to get familiar with these. This is, again, all this shit's in the book. And so you can actually see the photos. But these are the vouchers that you're going to get from the at the sign-in. And those people that are signing you in are not only with BG Casting, oftentimes it's one of the set PAs, right? A staff position that runs the BG. So there's another opening, but I want you to be familiar with this as an extra and as a PA. In Canada, we've got these. We like colors up here. So we got 3 different colors. For the people that are in the union, and then we got permittees, and then we've got apprentices, and then we've got members, and then this is what it looks like when it's filled out. And all vouchers are kind of after the same information, you guys. They're after your name, your phone number, email. This is going to go to a payroll company, so what production is it? And usually, as a really good background PA, I would fill this out for my extras before they came in, because if I didn't, at the end of the night, they'd be like, well, what time do we come in? What's my name? What show am I on? So I did a lot of the filling this. I filled out a lot of vouchers over my lunch period, actually.
What's the $35 car bump?
I'm sorry, Brett?
What's a $35 car bump?
Oh, well, it's cheaper for me as a producer. Instead of renting a car from a rental company, you're going to be an extra for the day. So I'm going to also rent your car for the day, and you're going to drive it to the scene. And I'm going to rent it from you because you've told me as an extra in one of your forms that you have a color of car that isn't bright red, it isn't bright yellow, it isn't bright white, that it's a brown or a green or something. And so anyways, I'm not going to pay you gas. I'm just going to pay you $35. That'll cover your gas, but it's a bump in addition to what you're getting paid as an extra. Any other questions?
So if you were filling out a background resume, in addition to one of your skills, something you might want to put on there was be like, I own an antique car, or I do Civil War reenactments or something, especially if it would be like a period piece where they might want that type of prop or costume or something.
Very good point, Barbara. On that resume, I've never ever thought of putting in there not only your skills, but the props that you might own. No, I don't care if you own an amplifier. I want to, bigger items that a company would have to rent anyways. Yeah. And this is up in Canada here. This is a non-union voucher. It's very similar to those in the US. It goes to ACTRA. It's non-union. We call it a cash voucher. But same information. So if this was live, we would do this exercise. But we're not. Processing. So this is what you as an extra will experience, and this is what you as a background PA will do with the extras. You're going to put them through the works, process them through costume department, hair department, makeup department. Then you're going to send them to breakfast, blah, 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 blah. And the reason for this is kind of obvious, common sense, but you don't have that if you haven't worked on the film set. But I'm not going to put you in your hair and all your beautiful makeup and then put your costume on, right? So there's a reason why we kind of do it this way. Now, oftentimes a show, even big shows, you guys, I've done like The Body of Lies, multi-gazillion-dollar movie with Ridley Scott. They were even asking the extras then to come come having had breakfast, right? Because we don't have to pay for it then. We don't have to supply it. But anyways, most times when I'm putting you through the works, if you haven't had that notice from your extras casting, then you should ask the question, actually, always. Are they going to feed us? But sometimes they do. Anyways, and then I'll read you the sides. I know Janice is with us tonight. I know I read sides to her. Like I would, as an extras casting guy, I would always stand up and read the scene to the extras or background people, because I just, information, right? It's power. And then we put you through props, and then we're going to put you through getting guns and weapons. And the reason for that, of course, is if you had a gun at the top of the day, before I even put you in a costume, you're going to shove the barrel into the ground, and you're going to go over and get your costume on, and you're going to pick up the gun, and you're going to shoot the thing in the scene, and right? So there's the logical reason to all of that. And you're going to go to the wardrobe trailer. You're going to go in there, and it's going to kind of look like this. And they're either going to put you in a costume that they've already pre-fit you in a week before, or they'll ask you to show them what you've brought. And this is typical. Dee Dee, you'll find this in LA, of course. You'll need 3 suitcases, and this is what you'll put in each suitcase, because those are the 3 different types of calls that you're going to get from, say, Central Casting or whoever the casting people are. Because the wardrobe people want this, right? They want, so I did Judging Amy, right? It was always in the courtroom. So our extras always had to have business formal attire. It's much cheaper. We pay you a stipend, production pays you as an extra stipend for the use of your clothes. It's meant to cover your dry cleaning, right? And wear and tear. But you bring all of your fancy, 3 ties, 3 dress shirts, 3 over, all of that, right? And if you're a professional extra, and there are in LA and bigger centers, and they make good money. I know Cindy, the one gal I met when I did Roswell, she said she made 75 grand a year as an extra, 75 grand US a year as an extra. She's, she just worked all the time.
So as long as you can make yourself do some of the work for the costume department, make yourself more available to them and their needs, then you might get a bump. Just like when Brett asked if you would, what the car bump was, and you got paid extra for using the car, you might get paid extra because you brought your business clothes or a certain prop or something.
And also it helps if, they fit properly. It's really nice if your clothes fit. And another thing I always bring is extra shoes to make sure that they don't try to put me in shoes that are too small.
Yeah. Okay,
so I'll get into that. That's good. Yes, exactly. All of that. This is here, Brenda Schenner, dear friend of mine. She's actually, you guys know who's all in tonight. You should hook up with Brenda tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Wait a second. I got it here. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock. This is a little, I just wanted to show you what she feels you should know as an extra. But she's going to give a whole spiel on SMPIA's Facebook page tomorrow at 1 o'clock, our time, whatever that is in your world. Anyways, so she says this, I wish extras knew, this is what, for an example, for costume in terms of a business attire, this is what I want. Boom. I also want them, take care of their stuff. It's you're going to invest in clothes, make sure you take care, you're going to use it over and over again. She wants, when you're buying something like a suit, you're of no use to Brenda if you show up in a suit that's all, doesn't fit you. So she's got to rent one for you and pre-fit you. Well, that takes time. So it's good if you know how your suit fits. It's good if you know how to fold your suit so that when you pull it out, or your dress, or whatever it is, it ain't all wrinkly, right? Think of her gig. And then you're going to be sent as an extra to change rooms to change. I hope to God that there's divisions, and there usually are. And then I'm going to send you to hair and makeup, and wardrobe. And this is just Jordy, dear friend of mine, did a show called Godless. And Tara is the blonde girl there. I did a show with her with Val Kilmer called Spartan with David Mamet. She was Val's personal makeup. And then I did one with Ray Liotta. She was with Ray Liotta. So hey, any of you makeup hair artists, just don't think that you're doing, you can get hired as an actress's hairdresser and you go show to show with them. Anyways, this is some of the work that they do, right? So when they do work like this on your hair, this is what she says that I wish you would know. Come to us looking like you've just rolled out of bed. Because it takes time, right, to do you up. And it takes time to take you down first if they have to. Does that make sense? So always come in with clean, well-kept hair, but you don't have to have it all done up. That's what they're there to do. Yeah, and if it's a big casting call, a lot of extras, they'll have additional assistants there, of course, to help. But when you're on set, it's kind of like your gig. You got to take care of it and maintain it. They'll be around, floating around, but yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So I always say, and they've told me, you know, have your extras bring. I think I don't have to bring one. But if you're a gal or a guy with hair, bring an accessory kit like that. And from Tara, she did Green Book, and she's done a lot. Look her up. Oh, well, now you're going to ask me for her last name. I don't know. Anyways, this is what she says. Bring sunscreen, right? Bring bug spray. Take care of yourself. If the BG casting calls you in for the thing and says, hey, make sure they come, you know, no makeup. Same thing with the hair, right? No makeup. If you come with makeup and they have to take it off and build you up, it takes time. It takes time. For the guys, yeah, same thing. Now, sometimes we'll ask you to grow your facial hair and we'll cast you a month out. I've done that before. That's a big deal, right? You're doing a period piece. Didn't have tattoos like that back in 1925. So that kind of has to be noticed. And if you're doing, like most shows, they don't, you know, if you got the nose ring, the eyelid ring, belly button ring, it's a, you know, show with swimwear, you take all that stuff out unless it's specifically asked for, right? And maybe that's a picture that if you do have those piercings, it's a picture that you might have in your extras on your resume. Yeah. This is from James Eddy, prop master extraordinaire. And this is just a couple things that he wants you to know about props. And I'll go through this slowly because I feel like I need to shut up. I'll open up another beer. I think that was Grey's Anatomy. Ed, I don't know that actor's name.
Ed Harris.
Thank you, Maya.
You're welcome.
He's married to Amy Madigan.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's his daughter. She got into the business, eh? Probably missing her dad the whole time she grew up. You're like, where's my daddy? All right, I'll go in the prop truck.
So Kenny, when the background extras, like if it's a really long day and they break for lunch, do they turn their props into the props department while they're at lunch and they can get them reissued, or are they responsible for holding on to them?
Ideally, hold on to them. The props, that's a great question that an extra should ask the props person. Write that in your notes. They are smart enough, the props people, to probably tell you that. But usually over lunchtime, you're responsible for it. So that's where the whole gun thing was problem on Thin Red Line, right? You've got 100 extras with 100 military pieces out there. They all have blanks. Anyways. So this is extras holding, and you're going to get into extras holding, and that's where we hold you until we need you to come to set. Now, COVID-19, who knows what that's going to look like? More spaced out, I assume, and better ventilation, all of that. And we'll talk about COVID tomorrow. But these are the things I want you to bring and think about bringing with you. Bring a backpack, and you're going to fill it. You're going to fill it with these goodies. So bring your iPod. More importantly, bring a charger, because that extras holding is going to have like 2 outlets, and you're 10 minutes late, and everybody's got the outlet. Bring a book, bring your laptop, bring a deck of cards, bring a magazine, bring stuff to keep you entertained during the downtime. And there's a lot of downtime as being an extra. And then these are things you want to bring for comfort. Bring the hat, bring the Uggs, bring the soft slippers, the warm coat, the rain gear. Bring all that kind of stuff. Bring your own chair. Bring a blanket. These are things that keep you alive during 16-hour days. God, that toothbrush in the top corner, that's a winner. That's a winner. I'd bring a toothbrush with you. You're going to be on set 12, 16 hours eating 3 meals. That's a good one to have.
Something that I try not to bring is something that's too stealable, because I've had things go missing from extras.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, I've had them say, oh, just leave your stuff here. And then sometimes they don't leave anybody watching it, and they leave it, well, kind of in the hood, you know, sometimes. So I don't know about bringing a laptop, but like, sometimes I wouldn't bring anything that was worth a lot of money. And I tend to clean out my purse and bring limited cash.
Yeah. Good point, Janice. I always make the joke to leave it all with me, your extras casting PA, or your BG PA, because I make no money and they know it. And then I just tell them I'll take it off with it. They laugh. Whatever. Anyways, this is important. Especially, I'm sorry?
I guess it would be a good idea to be able to, you know, hide your license and your extra cash in your shoe or your bra or something like that, so that it can be kind of on set, but your personal property is protected.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, turn your phone off, right? Put it on not vibrate, off, like off. Sorry, but it's going to go off in the middle of a scene if you don't. Anyways, this is important. Most film sets vary. Even in COVID-19, the ventilation, who knows what it's going to be like in that crappy show that you're shooting in the middle of nowhere in the hood. You're going to be all confined in a tight space. It's a fragrance-free environment. And this is one of those unwritten rules that you don't find in a film school book anywhere, really. But this is what I use, right? You've all seen it, I'm sure. It's just a mineral rock. You can get it down at the local grocery store, but there's no scent to it, right? And that's what you want. Because you can imagine what it's like being in a small room like Ruby's living room here with 25 of you, and you've all wearing your different clones and stuff. Headache inducing. So here's a great book. Bring this to set and read it. I love this book. I've endorsed this guy for years. He doesn't know it, but I have it here? I do have it here. Yeah. So, I mean, you buy it at a used bookstore. He's been around for a long time, but it's all around etiquette, protocols. Paul Salomanoff. And then when it comes to rolling sound, our sound guy always, just if you're a background PA, you're going to always walk your extras, and you as an extra should know why they're doing this through the sound department. So that if you're in, the legislative building, or if you're in a courtroom, the clippity-clappity of men's and women's shoes have to be taken care of before you go to set. Big shows, a lot of porta potties. Nobody's really looking after that stuff, right? I mean, they are, but they're not. So I always suggest bring your own roll. Take care of yourself, right? This is craft service for the crew and the cast. Big shows, it's bigger, of course. I did one show called Rendition with Reese Witherspoon and Jake Gyllenhaal, and the spread. I knew it was a big movie, not because they were in it, of course, but there was like 10 or 12 tables full of craft service food for us to eat. You can tell, like, people in the film industry, they get bigger. The longer they're in the business, the bigger they get, because they feed us like this. Yeah, always. But so craft service is available to cast and crew, but they also make it for crew as well, or for the background performers as well. But unfortunately, it often isn't as a beautiful spread as the cast and crew get. Partially because you're usually day players, you're in and out. Not that they don't care for you, but they serve you the minimum. If you're not happy, who cares? You're not here tomorrow. But if my crew member Nancy is not happy and she's the lead costumer, kind of hoot. So I always say this is what the background performers. So bring your own snacks, right? Not all shows are the way I'm depicting them, but some are. Come on, that was funny. I hope that was funny. I worked hard on that. These are the, anybody need to take a break or have a question, interrupt me, please. These are the rates that you get paid. That's Canadian dollars, of course. So those of you in the States, we're only worth 75 cents up here to your dollar. These are some of the rates. Just so you kind of get an idea. These are US rates on these pictures. And I'm trying to get them as current as I could. This was down in Georgia, of course. So this is non-union, which means minimum wage must be 8 to 64. 8. See how I did that? And then adjustment. So this is more so in the States than in Canada, but if something affects you, if we do something to your face or do something to your body, we cut your hair, whatever it might be, we can style your hair, but cutting it is a different idea. But you're going to get an extra little on your paycheck. It's going to go on the base pay. Then there's also a thing called an allowance, which is what Brett was asking about with the car, and that's just an extra 35 bucks away from your hourly that's thrown onto your paycheck. And that'll be on your voucher that you'll fill out. And the background PA will make sure they put that in there. And you can, I'm just giving you examples here. You don't have to read all this, but you get an idea, right? Here's some other things that you'll get paid for. So it'd be nice to have that somewhere, maybe on the back of your resume or something if you had this kind of crap. It's good to know. The costume fittings, you get paid for those. I was shocked. I got hired to do Thin Red Line, and then like a week later they brought me in for a costume fitting, and then a week after that I got a paycheck. I was like, unbelievable. They pay for everything, so that's cool. And if you change, like if you know those three, I was telling Dee Dee there the three suitcases and the suits and everything, and well, every time you change into one of your outfits or they ask you to, you get paid a stipend or an allowance for that for cleaning. The first one we get free. You can't come to us naked, right? You got to come to us in some business attire. But if she wants to change it from that, yeah. And then choreography. I want to talk about choreography. Is that clear, sort of everything we did above there? Because this is kind of another section, just talking about once now you get to set, what you're going to experience.
Kenny, are the bumps and adjustments, are they fairly standard, the rate? I mean, I'm sure there's some variance, but is it basically, $35 for this, $15 for that?
And I don't think it's changed, Barbara, since I was doing Roswell or whatever in 2001. I think it's still 35 bucks for a card, 15 bucks for a racket or something.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So this is about asking for your rate. Because I'm gonna be working as a PA on a set starting next week, and I haven't been told what I'm gonna be paid, but he insinuated that there will be payment. So I'm wondering if I should ask what it is or just wait until I show up and do the paperwork and then find out then.
God, I love you, Maya. That's a good one. Because I tell you, I did it where I went and did a show. I didn't ask about the rate. I didn't ask about paperwork. I didn't know. I left, went home. They didn't call me again. Waiting for the paycheck. I called them. They said, we didn't fill out your bill memo. You didn't. I'm like, oh, okay. So ask that question. It's not uncomfortable. This is the film industry, right? We're very comfortable with you asking us outright for a job. We're very comfortable with you asking us for the rate.
Okay.
Because that's the way this gig runs.
Good to know.
That answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Most PAs, I think where you're at, I would assume if you know other people that are PAs in Portland, right? Is that where you are?
Mm-hmm.
They will tell you what the average non-union rate is. If you're in Maryland where Brett is, you can ask local PAs there. I would assume it's still $125, $150 a day. But hey, I'm 50 years old and it's 2020. I haven't worked as a PA in a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to choreography, this is the gig. This is why I love being a background PA. This is the most creative aspect of being an assistant director is you're doing this, right? You're putting the paint on the canvas. And this is some of the ways that you do it.
Kenny, check your waiting room because I think someone lost connection and might need to be let back in.
Well, we're all going to have to do this then.
No, I think you could just, you should be able to go and just, whoever's in the waiting room, let them in.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Nope. Nope.
I think she might be back in now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Sorry. Thank you, Barbara. So you'll find as an extra or as a BG PA setting the extra that you're going to get those extras in the front of the lineup, in front of the costume truck that have experience like Janice, because Janice knows her shit. She's got all the clothes that she was supposed to bring. She's worked with this person before. She has come dressed probably the way she knows that designer will dress her, and just boom, 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 right? And that costumer has bits on the truck that she's rented that she is more willing to give to Janice to use on camera, because she knows Janice is going to give them back at the end of the night, and she's going to do that because that costumer is going to ask for Janice's voucher, as you know, Janice needs that voucher at the end of the night because that's what she gets paid. So she knows that she's going to get it back from Janice. But also she knows that I know, as the background PA on set setting the extras, that I'm going to use Janice in the front of the camera because Janice knows what she's doing. She's been on camera. She's done this a long time. The people that aren't there experienced, you're going to start way back down there at the end of the street. And that's all cool, right? Just so you know. Zone setting. So when we are filming on Bourbon Street and it's way down there, and I've got like 10 production assistants, I've got all of you as my production assistants in the AD team. I'm going to give you each a section down there, and I'm going to throw 10. I'm the background key set background PA guy. I'm going to send you 10 extras and 10 extras and 10 and 10 and 10. And then I'm going to ask you guys to choreograph them. Well, there's some skill in choreographing, right? You got to know what the camera angle is seeing. You got to understand different actions that you can have extras do. And I'm going to show that to you. But that's what zone setting is. I have a laser pointer here. Can't see it. Maybe you can. There it is. And that's how I set extras, usually inside. Outside, it's hard to see this, right? But if I'm in a courtroom or a store or something, I can tell the extra that I'm giving the direction to, hey, there's the frame. I need you to come into the shot and out of the shot, and this is a path I want you to take. Instead of me physically having to show her the path to take, I can do this with my laser. So I'm just showing you this. If you're background PA, it'd be good to have a laser pointer because it makes work go faster. When you're setting background, you know, there's a window. It's a small window of time to set background because, woof, it's hot in here. Because you can't be putting the extras in, like you do a blocking, right, with the actors, and they figure out how the camera's moving, where they're moving, and then the actors go away, and then you think, well, the extras can come in and we can start setting the extras, but you can't do that because the DP and the grip and the electric, they're all lighting the set, right? They got to do all that jazz. And the DP will tell me when I might say to him, hey, I need at least 10 minutes to set these 3,000 extras, or, 100, whatever. And they will know to tell me. But they'll tell you when you can set the extras. So, and then there's the different things that you can use. And I don't want to get into all of this because I have a whole BG book and webinar or seminar, whatever, that I can do for you. But I want you to kind of get an idea of what your world will be and how you'll experience it. I have anchors in the scene. I've got pictures for this. I dress the part often when I'm working as a background PA. I use my angles. I know how to, I look at a frame and I go, well, okay, if I'm going to set the scene, I got to look at how I'm directing the traffic, right? I can chart. These are things that, I can get in deeper in an AD seminar in the background one. But these are anchors I wanted to show you. If you see the guy in the blue with he's kind of slouching, his hand in his pocket, there's his little bag over his shoulder there. You see the lady, I think the two ladies and the other one, the lady in pink and the lady in brown, they're just kind of standing there. They're just anchors in the frame. Well, now when you turn on your TV tonight, look at the extras. It's always good to have some, just it just kind of anchors the frame, right? To have a body standing still, or, you know, a couple up against a building kissing kind of thing, or whatever. So that's what an anchor is. That girl in the back opening up the door. This is something I love too. I always carry one of these when I do background setting, because I can see the video village monitor, so I can actually see the frame on my little camera there, and I can hold it in my belly here and look at it, and I can be setting the with my back to the camera. I can be setting the extras live, right, while we're shooting. Like, you know, kind of moseying up to them and telling them to move over that way or move over that way. So I like to dress up so that I can jump into the scene if I have to. This was a show called Roswell. You try and hire like 10 extras knowing that only 5 will show up. And on this day, the cook didn't show up. So I was a cook. And then you hire like 8 ladies of the night and 4 show up. So you go to town. Pretty gross, but that's me. But hey, you know what happened there? The AD was this old military guy, and he was like, Kenny, you're disgrace to the AD department. What are you doing? And I was like, just trying to save the shot. And then the director's like, Kenny, you're gorgeous. Let's put you in the shot. And so he started the scene with this car, the taxi cab pulls up, and I'm standing there doing my bit on the street, and a cop comes behind me and pushes me up onto the trunk of this car and frisks me as the lead actor gets out and goes into the building. So you can kind of picture that. Anyways, you do what you got to do. Yeah, so when you're setting background too, or you are a background artist, you're going to be put through the scene with this in mind, right? Am I going to put these extras through the scene as a single, as a couple? Are they holding hands? Are they mad at each other? When are they going to go through the scene? When do I cue them? What direction do they go? Again, another seminar we dive into that, but just so you kind of get the basic understanding of what extra does, right? And what a PA setting them does. Here, use your angles, right? Like, you don't just have a square box. You can send people that way and this way and across and this way and toward camera. You can send them up, right? Up a set of stairs kind of thing. And so you gotta make it look real. And that ain't easy to do. That ain't easy to do. And make the make their actions look real, right? Like everything, their movement, their costumes. Yeah, this is something I do, you know, as a PA too, and as a BGPA, is I always chart. I always draw is what it is. I draw out where my extras start and where they end up on certain lines in the scene, so that if we turn the camera around, I'll know where that extra should be, so that in the editing room, it all ties together. And if you want to be an awesome extra, watch where you are and listen to the dialogue so that you can always match it take after take. Yeah, that's BG charting. This is something I love to do. I do this yourselves, right? Go out onto the street tomorrow with a notepad and just watch people's mannerisms, because on the day, when you got 40 people staring at you and asking, what do you want me to do? Well, you gotta pick a direction, and you gotta give them something. I used to create these and then hand them out in the extras holding and tell them, you know, this is the scene we're gonna do. To give them ideas. So that just kind of eliminated that much time it takes me on the day when we're setting them to go, hey, can you? And Janice will go, Kenny, I'm gonna go across to there and I'm gonna be carrying this tray of shots. Holy shindizzle. I didn't have to do anything. That's a pro right there. But this is fun to do. That's fun to do. This is from a Thin Red Line. This is Skip Cosper. He, on the plane ride over, he started jotting this down because we filmed in Australia. He started jotting down what soldiers should be doing in the hold of a ship. This guy is legendary, Skip Cosper. He taught me a lot. And then they shot those in the Solomon Islands. Shot some of that in the Solomon Islands. Anyway, so we would, in theory, on a real show here, with you're live with me, we would do a choreography exercise where we would do all of this. And it's a lot of fun for us to play around. At the end of the night, your background PA is going to have these, hopefully, they're smart enough, they'll have these boards. And they'll write on them the wrap time and the MPVs and the lunch time, that kind of stuff. And the reason they do that is so that when you have your voucher, you can fill this out yourself before you get to the table. so that the background PA who's been here longer than you, probably 16, 17 hours, can just sign off on it, give you the copy, and away you go home. But I'm just giving you, just so you have an idea how the whole process begins through the day and how it ends. I loved being an extra, and I highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, that number, that one at the end is definitely true. Any questions?
Kenny,
Yes, ma'am.
make sure that if you're an extra that you walk away with your copy of your voucher, because that's your proof that you worked. And make sure that it's legible, that the payroll company can't process your check to you if they can't read your name and your address.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. You've had experience. You still there, Michelle? You have experience with this? Yeah?
Yes, I started as an extra on a number of feature films and then jumped onto the crew side, and I'm actually a second assistant in accounting.
Nice. Very good to hear from you, because that's always the call I would get. Up here as an AD, down there as a background PA. Kenny, I can't read this goddamn voucher. How am I going to pay them? Find them. I'm like, huh? Yeah, no, good points.
Yep.
Good
So
points.
if you're a PA and you're processing these background extras, it's probably a good idea to tell them print. Don't do it in cursive or anything like that, because if you're going to make that effort to be easier on accounting, they might remember you the next time versus someone who let everybody fill it out in cursive.
Yeah. Yep. So here, this is what I want you to do. Write this down. Tomorrow, go to a coffee shop. We'll watch the mannerisms. Write them down. Man, you're going to be an awesome extra or background performer if you can come up with stuff that looks like you just made it up like that. Of course, I, as a background PA too, I go to my prop truck, right? And I ask them, hey, can you give me a list of your props so that I'm just not making stuff out of my, I'm just not making it up. I know that, the more, if I know the props that they have on their truck and they know I can give them to the background performers, man, that gives me material, right, to use. Briefcases. You got a bike? You got a unicycle? What are you talking about? You got a wheelbarrow? Awesome. And this is just my Dutch Uncle Kenny tip for you all. Is on a film set, you're never referred to by your first and last name. It's always your show gig, your title, right? Your Kenny PA, or here, Kenny Locations. Can you go to channel 2? Hey, does anyone have eyes on Linda Makeup? That's just how we know each other. And then through the years, right? You don't even know. You meet crew that you worked with like 10 years ago, and you're like, hey, Johnny Grip, how you doing? Hey, Sam Crafty. And you're like, I thought your name was Craft. I thought your last name was Johnny Crafty. Yeah, we've all done that before. Anyways, to conclude that, so this is my point. How I got into the film industry. I'm not going to tell you that story. I just want to tell you that I made a strong impression. I always say I got into the film business first based on luck. And then the second time I got into it, like my second gig, was based on my reputation. And my reputation I built on this show, my first gig ever, called Thin Red Line, because I had Karen Collins, who's out of North Carolina, South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina. She was my second AD on this show, and she was working with 100 to 500 background performers that had never been on a film set before. She was working with 20 of us who were the core Charlie company, who were the featured extras. So she wanted to make sure that we had a handle on how, we'd be there for the whole run of the show, how a set actually works, and she would teach us choreography and all that kind of stuff. Hey, there she is there. Oh, anyway, sorry. Yeah, of course she's there. But anyways, my point to this is Karen's style was unique. She was in the hold of the ship. She had Skip's list of all the things. She had all the props and everything. And then she had us yahoos who didn't know what we were doing. But she was kind of like a third base coach. She would sit there and say, okay, Kenny, when you see Sean Penn out of the corner of your eye, because he ain't going to look at the camera, out of the corner of your eye, Kenny, when you see Sean Penn walk from there to there, that's when when he ends up over there, that's when I want you to get up and go over there. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. She would do that. But then she'd also do this kind of stuff where she said, out of the corner of my eye, when you see me do this, that's when I want you to blah, blah, blah. And Frank over there, when you see me do this, That's when I want you, she's off camera, of course, right? But she had all of these signals, and I picked up on what she was doing. I saw, oh, okay, I learned on the job on a $60 million picture how to set background so that it looked real. She had all the, she had guys rolling dice, she had them whittling, she had them brushing their teeth, shaving, all this kind of stuff. She prepared for that day, right? And I sat there and instead of, I was enjoying it as an extra doing what she was asking me, but then I was also standing back and going, well, that ain't rocket science. Yeah, I can do that. And so within the next couple of weeks, within the next week or so, I approached her. I was just like, Karen, if you ever get in that situation where you got a mass amount of extras, I know it's raw. I know it ain't rocket science. I can figure, let me help you, right? And I would set background. That's how I got into the business, right? I got in as an extra, and then I made myself unforgettable. I made myself, what's the word, irreplaceable, or whatever that phrase is, right? Because she would turn to me and go, I need help. And while all these other people had been around the same amount of time, why was she always asking Kenny? And then the director, Terrence Malick, like huge, he saw that. And he put me in a couple scenes because they knew me, right? It was so easy to get into the film industry, so easy. Anyway, any questions? We got 15 minutes left, and I got an hour of material here. How are you all doing? Have you all faded away? Is there still 20 of you? I see there's still 20. Holy cow. Well, I'll keep going. If there's no questions, I'll keep going. And I'll tell you what, I will keep going until I'm done what I brought you tonight. And it's going to go past 9. You can turn me off whenever you want. I ain't going to be offended. Hell, I won't even know. Okay, so and close this so my neighbors don't think I'm weird. Your first day on a film set. Let's see. I'm going to show you how you're going to start out, what to bring with you, and a little bit about the protocol and the etiquette, because that's kind of important, and that's going to land you a gig after the first one. It's going to make you unforgettable, right? This is like a classic line. You hear it on film all the time. And if you're late, you're fired. So be early. As I said before, I'm always 30 to 40 minutes earlier than my call time. Hey, you know what? We all are if we're good at our jobs, right? I'm studying to be a teacher. I got an internship to do this fall here, and I asked my co-op teacher. He said, "You're here at 8 o'clock, Kenny. Class doesn't start till 9:15, and I'm here at 8 o'clock." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that makes sense. Of course you would be, right? Wouldn't you? Right? You always got to be early so you can prep." Or make sure that, the van doesn't break down or something. This is what you're going to see, right? Your first day, crew, extras, whatever. You're going to see these signs. They're going to direct you to base camp, and they're going to have the name or whatever. You're going to have this dash tag I mentioned before. You're going to put that on your car. You're going to find this shuttle van. You're going to tell the driver where you need to go. So if you're a crew member, you're not just going extras holding. You might be going to base camp. You might be going to set, catering, or tech trucks. So know where you're going. And then when you get there, make sure in your vehicle that you have in crew parking that you've got this stuff with you. Because you're going to want to run down and grab it when the rainstorm happens. Or, during lunch, you're going to want to change your clothes or your shoes or whatever it might be. In your backpack, this is kind of the stuff you're going to have. In your belt pack, or we call it a fanny pack, right? It went out in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. It was really god-awful, ugly thing. A lot of people still wear them. And on set, they certainly do. It's a good thing to have. So these are some of the things that you want to carry with you. The backpack you're going to take and you're going to throw it either in the AD trailer, or you're going to throw it in your grip truck or craft service, whatever department you work for. You're going to take that. That's where that's going to go. Yeah, and one of the things too, I bring always an extra pair of shoes, an extra pair of socks. I change those at lunchtime because you're on your feet 16 hours, right? It feels like you've had a 10-hour sleep. So bring those with you, absolutely, and bring toothbrush so that you can brush your teeth after lunch. Please, God, do that. And yeah, it all ties into no deodorants and colognes. Also your breath, right? And then also, ladies, look, like I don't have them, but if I had them, I'd want to change out the bra, right? When you're in a dust storm situation, when you're filming in the desert, when it's 107 degrees in Arizona, you sweat, and think about all of that. Bring sunglasses. I'll show you what a trifold is, but yeah, definitely. This will save you. This is the kind of what you want to look like. If you're going in as a crew member, you're going to be wearing cargo shorts or cargo pants, right? The pants are for winter time, so you'll have long underwear underneath. You're going to have that black shirt because you're going to invariably walk into the frame at some point during your career. And hopefully it's a contemporary piece and you can just fit right in, but you won't fit right in if you're wearing a bright white t-shirt or a red t-shirt or yellow. You're going to fit in with the black one. Yeah, really good tennis shoes, strong belt, all that kind of stuff. Here's some options for you, right? Or go down to the secondhand store and get a cheap one. But you want a good utility belt. I don't care what department you're in, you're going to use it. You're going to use it regardless of what department you're in. And there's that old toothbrush again, right? Same thing with the extras. This is more for you as a crew member. Same kind of crap, right? Bring the Kleenex, bring the Tylenol. Definitely all of this. Your eyes are going to get dry. Regardless, when you're outside all day, your eyes are going to get dry. Save them, right? Hand cream, the tie-dye thing, you know, because you're going to spill on yourself. Nasal spray. It's all good. It's all good. This is a great book. I've got it here with me. It's only this big. If you can see me in the top corner, it's only this big. It kind of fits in your pocket. How to talk like you belong on a film set. Like, I don't know what a goalie sucker is. I'd have to look it up. Not going to right now. But yeah, pick up that used bookstore. Again, all of this used bookstore. $2-3, easy. So this is just a few etiquette protocol with the actors. Like never, as an extra, certainly as a crew member, because you break that code. You break that side, the trust bond, right? If you ask them for an autograph, because most, I mean, you don't want to be famous. Trust me, you do not want to be famous because you have no private life. You cannot shop. You cannot go to a grocery store and go, oh, I got to go to 10-1. I got to go to the bathroom and not have somebody knock on your bathroom. You know, so when they're on our set, we're professionals and we don't harass them like that. It's just an unwritten rule. Same thing with an actor's eye line when they're acting. You know, as crew, we're off camera, but they can see us out of the corner of their eyes, and that's distracting and doesn't help the performance. So if you're a very conscientious crew member, and we had so many here in Saskatchewan that have left because we lost their tax credit, but I could see them all doing this, which was so remarkable to see because I don't see it on huge productions in the States often. But crew members turn their backs and duck down, right, away from the action, because they don't really need to watch it. It's not really that interesting. After, when you see it in the theater and there's special effects and sound and makeup and all that, it's much more interesting. So an actor's eye line, stay away from that. The general public, just keep in mind that you know, we've rented the street from the city, and we're blocking their driveway, and it's 2 a.m. in the morning. So just be very mindful of them. Be mindful of the clothing that you wear. For God's sake, I've seen this kind of stuff. Film sets it's a work environment. It's the trades, right? So you come to work with trade clothing. You wear those cargo shorts. You wear the black t-shirts. You don't need all of this kind of, it's not a place to hook up or pick up, or it's a work environment. Here's just a quick example for you with etiquette and protocol. So this is a show I did called Ticket Out. I did it with a great director named Doug Lodato. He's in Australia, if any of you are in Australia. And we were filming in Des Moines, Iowa. And we had, and this is an American thing more than a Canadian thing, we had a front desk secretary. And the building that we rented for our production office actually had like a front desk, and all the offices were kind of back there. That was unusual. Usually you have a very open space so everybody can yabber at each other. But this person, Jackie, she was new to the industry, and she didn't know this etiquette and protocol. And we had she was the gatekeeper, right? Well, when Ray Liotta came in the door for the first time, we'd sent out our PA to go pick him up from the airport, and he comes to the production office, Ray does, and you know, as soon as he walks in, she jumps out of her seat and she walks around with her Polar or her camera, her phone, right? And she's got an autograph book. She's doing all that kind of stuff. And he was very gracious, and you could tell he pissed him off, right? It's just not professional. But he also knows he's going to a smaller community that maybe doesn't experience, yada, yada. But I'm just telling you, that's, yeah, a good one to avoid. When it comes to drugs and alcohol, like, clearly, like at any gig, right? It's a company liability. So it's immediate dismissal if they catch you with any of that. And you know, the camera truck is notorious. It always has a mini beer fridge in the back, and everybody goes there at the end of the night. But, and some producers turn a blind eye. Because, you know, there's nothing wrong with one beer. But there is, right? Because if you go off the end of a 16-hour day, you had one beer, you're driving up the highway, and you kill somebody, it's on the company, right? Yeah. Similar thing there. I don't want to get too much into this because we're going late here. But with the camera and lighting, right? You got to think about this. Flashing and crossing is simply if the makeup and hair artists are taking a picture of an actor or an actress for continuity, if the camera, the operator's got her eye and lens, right, and this flash goes off, they don't know what happened. Did the light just blow up? Or so there's just protocol and etiquette to yell flashing. And so any of you that are assistant hair and makeup people and are wanting to get into the business and are new, that's clearly like the top of your list of things to do is to yell flashing. Same with crossing. If you're crossing in front of the lens during a lighting setup, yell it out. They don't see, right? They need to know. Yeah, and then when it comes to the monitor, where our director sits behind it, usually you'll have, always you'll have the script supervisor. If you don't know that position, we got a book. Script supervisor, the director, and then the DP, or the cinematographer. And they sit there and they watch what's being filmed, yes? Often hair and makeup might be behind them, just looking over their shoulders for continuity. You know, they can see what's on camera. Okay, I don't have to worry about it. And also, though, if you are background setting PA, you could be back here or maybe over at the side, kind of watching the rehearsal that's being shot so that you can see, oh, I got to tweak that. I got to tweak that. I got to move that extra over there, that kind of thing. So that's the monitor. Yeah, that's Video Village. Anyways, excuse me. Questions? This is awesome. Hair and makeup. They work longest hours of all of us. Well, aside from the 80s, but they do too. And then at lunchtime, when they get the half hour of lunch, or maybe an hour, they got a crew member that needs a haircut, wants a haircut. Yeah, they're professionals, and they often will, because they understand that the crew just doesn't have time to get their own haircut. But be considerate of the fact that there's others asking for the same thing. But it's the same thing with clothes. I mean, I have been guilty of this too. I asked my truck costumer here in Regina, Robert was his name, to hem a pair of pants for me. Like, oh. But I just didn't have time. But it's a no-no. So please don't do it, because you can understand why. Yeah. And then props, same idea. They rent these things, or the prop master might own them. So that's why they want them returned every night, and they might sign you as an extra in and out of a prop because they know where it's going to end up if they don't. Yeah. When it comes to stunts and special effects, you know, the guy falls out of the window. There's a big pillow there for him to land in. The fire's coming out. It's an awesome stunt. The director yells, cut, and you don't, you know, no, the crew doesn't do all of that jazz. It's dead quiet. It's just the protocol. It's the etiquette. Dead quiet. The stunt coordinator runs in, or special effects coordinator runs in, makes sure his or her guy or gal is good, comes back with a thumbs up, and then, of course, if you want to cheer and say that was amazing, you can, but that's just the protocol. Same thing I mentioned about fragrances, right? They may be well intended to smell good, but an actor can't perform, especially if they're an animal or a child, when they're distracted by that. So, yeah, no sense. Make sure they're well fed. That's a good one too, man. Oh, you don't want a screaming kid on your hands that hasn't, and then you realize, what, you haven't fed him for how long? Oh, right. Yeah, and that's my gig, right? As a PA, as a first team PA. I'm taking care of that kid. I want to make sure there's food around. Anyway, so that's kind of what you learned in your first day on a film set. The action I want you to take, the simple leap. Go and make this dash tag, right? Just put your name on it, put your position. I mean, if you got a gig coming up, put your phone number. Or just put your name and your phone number. Then you can use it all the time if you change positions. That's an easy one, but just to get you ahead. This is just a Dutch Uncle Kenny tip. I do this all the time. I'm sure those of you that work similar long jobs, at the end of the night, just before I go to bed, I lay out all my clothes and all my gack for the next morning because I'm going to be getting up in 4 hours. I don't want to be doing that then. I want to be just be able to throw it on and go out the door. So here's just, yeah, that's my stuff for the day. So just to end this with the whole autograph photograph thing. I did this show called Spartan, and this guy's Val Kilmer. I don't know how many of you know him. Those of you that don't, he did very well in the 80s and 90s and in the 2000s. Haven't seen him lately. Great guy. Anyways, I have a sister-in-law. She's Dene, which is an indigenous tribe up in northern Saskatchewan here. And she really loved a movie he did called Thunderheart, I think. And she called me up and asked if I could go down to Best Buy and buy the DVD, bring it to set, and have him sign it, because that was her favorite actor in the world. And I was like, well, oh, God. You don't want to do that, right? I don't want to, because we had such a banter, Val and I. We were like friends, right? He invited me to his house opening warming party in Hollywood after that. Anyway, he's a great guy. And I was like, I don't want to cheapen that. But then I knew him so well, or well enough that, and I'm smart enough, or not smart, I've been in the business long enough that I knew I could get this DVD signed. And it would not be awkward. I would just have to wait for the right moment at the right time, right? And I would wait until we're like 3/4 of the way through the show, right? So that, he really got to know me. And anyway, so I'm just setting it up for you. We were in Santa Monica. We were in LA or California, and we were at the airport, Santa Monica Airport, and we had rented a hangar, with planes and shit in it. And this was a big army plane that we had with a butt end that comes out and they roll stuff into it. That was the scene, right? And we had a lot of boxes and props and 40 extras and blah, 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 blah. At the far end of the hangar was the bathroom, and I need to go. I had the extra set. We had lighting set up for about 20, 30 minutes, something. And so I went to the bathroom, and I was in the bathroom there. I was at the urinal. I was just standing there at the urinal, right? And I'm doing my business, and Val Kilmer walks in. Hey, yeah, yeah, And we're just doing a thing. But like, for you ladies that don't know, like the etiquette and the protocol at the urinal is like you face forward and there's not really a lot of conversation. It ain't that time. But I finished, I wash, I'm walking out, he's walking out behind me, we're walking back to set. Again, he and I have this like rough kind of friendship relationship. And I said to him, hey, pal, yeah, I kind of stopped him. I said, I don't want you to think less of me, but I was wondering if, this was, about the whole DVD thing. And he stops me, he says, what? He says, you actually presuppose that I think of you. I said, what? He says, Kenny, you hear that? And it was like dead silence. He says, that's the sound of me not giving a shit about you. I was like, listen, Valerie. And he was like, ooh, you pulled the Valerie card. And from there, I segued my way into having him sign the DVD. So my point to all of that is just pick your moment if you really, really need that autograph. So, and you know what was so cool? Is at the end of it, I actually did. I got Val's chair back from that film. I did ask him, and he could care less, but I had to ask the prop person, who's an amazing props guy, and he gave me that. So that's a cool little keepsake that I have from that show. Yeah. So having said that, I think, is this the end of my day? Oh, this is the end of my day. It's 9 o'clock. I'm right on time. I think we did the first day. We did the extra. I think we've done everything. But so I wanted to share this with you. I'll go back a slide. Oh, Jesus. Oops. See, I'll go back one slide here. So this is filmcrewtrainer.com. Check us out. And you can see the different manuals and that kind of stuff, because this is an important thing that we're doing here, because you don't find this information. I hope you can tell me, right, in the chat, if you've enjoyed tonight. Yeah, Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Barbara puts a lot of work into this stuff, and it's great material that she throws out there. So I'm going to see you tomorrow, right, between 6 and 9 my time. And